Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, but more importantly, blue morning to you because it is indeed the Blue Morning Show. Today, we're going to talk about transfers and we're going to try to fix the number 8 or number 10 area depending on the application. We have so many players who are capable of playing there, but how well have they done? So, we'll look at those factors and try to pick players who think will be better off executing that role for us. Panelists and those in the chat will also come up with names that we'll look at and see what's best for the club. So sit back, relax, and let's get into it. Yes, people, welcome back to the Blue Morning Show, and I'm happy that I already have declared in the house. But as the tradition, as it is, that's with the Blue Morning Show. First, I would try to catch up with everything in the chat because it is an interactive show. But before I go ahead, I'm going to ask you, declare, how are you doing today?
Doing good. I mean, you're spoiling the people. I saw double streams, man. That's crazy, coach.
Well,
I
I
gotta
mean,
catch on.
it's passion. It's passion. I enjoy it. So since there's time on my side, plus other things I do, but I can't. This is something I cannot do without. But that's by the way. Let me try and catch up, and I'll come back to the panel. Here we have Liam says Liam has been here quite a while. He's followed me since I tried to fix the issue that I've been having in the studio. But thank you, Len. He's a Blue Morning coach, and everyone joined the chat. Nice to see you. And this is Blue Morning, guys. And sometimes when I come into the studio, I don't see every comment in the chat because the first one I'm seeing is here. But Liam saying hi, Viola means just Viola may have posted something earlier, but unfortunately I can't. I see it. Blue Morning guy says Matthew Lee Benjamin, nice to see you. And he says smash the like button and subscribe button, please. Yes, please do smash it. And again, thank you for 2K subscribers. And we're quickly approaching 3K subscribers. Again, Amon is here in the chat. Unfortunately, we're still having logistical issues sending him his prize money. I hope we find a solution again, but I don't think it would take too much time. Hi, Matthew and True. That's just people saying hello to each other. Yes, a bit late today because a lot of new equipment, and I'm finding it difficult to get them to start talking to each other. But I've consulted a professional. I'm a coder, but this is not my forte. So somebody will help me sort it out later in the day. Again, that's me saying that these journalists really give me a good laugh every day. Fair dues to them. Ten Hag wants a mount, and I want to win the lottery, but it ain't happening. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Again, it's a ridiculous, reporting because Chelsea are never going to sell Mount, no matter how anybody wants to see it. Here everyone says the queen of the house, just Viola. And again, let me see if there's anything to address here. The sun is shining in Ireland, so it cannot be bad, Viola. Nice to see. And if you're in the chat, please let us know where you're joining from. That gives us, makes it changes us if you allow me to phrase it that way, motivates us. Morning all says, declared you already on the panel, only written that. Again, anything else? Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Again, that's an inclusive way to say hello to everybody. Thank you very much for saying that. Nick Blue, good morning, everyone says. Akira, nice to see you here, Akira. Hope you guys are well. Watch tonight's J5 is going to pocket Messi. We will see. We will see what happens. So, Declan, I'm going to come back to the panel. The number, as much as the wingers, the wing backs, that's the left wing back position and the right wing back position, is a very critical position to the way, to the three at the back approach. I think the two number 8s or two number 10s, depending on how you want to see it, is very critical too, isn't it?
It is. A lot of people don't understand the system.
Mm.
or they can't fathom it. They still look at wing backs as just like fullbacks that bomb on forward. But in fact, the wing backs in this system are the wingers and the fullbacks almost in one. That's how this system is running. So
Mm.
they are our width. They stretch the pitch. They always stay there. They can either drop deeper to help in defense, or they can bomb up forward, and they're essentially our wingers. That's why they
Mm.
have to be the most versatile players. And if you saw how Conte made one in Victor Moses, and then Alonso wasn't that good of a fullback, but then you put him back. So there's players that can play this role better than they do the traditional winger and fullback role. So it's a special characteristics. There's not many of them out there. There's not many that play this system. So not only you actually got to find someone, and it's like what do you say? It's you've seen Tuchel put our wingers there.
Mm.
When especially when we're losing, right? So that's
Mm.
when that role changes. That's when that role, well, you don't need to come back anymore. Just bomb forward and play the traditional winger role. That role is closer to the winger role than the front three, right? And
Mm.
some people, and there's a lot of players that used to see that and think, what is Tuchel doing? Why is Pulisic? Why is Ziyech there? Why is Hudson-Odoi playing out there? But that's how that role is. It's a very mixed role.
Yeah.
And
So
it's
how
crucial, like
about
you said.
specifically talking about the number eight role? How important is it to that system? Because usually it's either, in most cases, you could say 99.9% of the time, it is two eights and a single striker. So because we're here
Yeah.
to talk
So
about the number eight, so we want to learn how important is the number eight role. To me, I'd say I think it's it's equally as important as the wing backs. Maybe not measure for measure, but because he likes to dominate also the opponent's attacking the final third. He likes to overload it in terms of pressing and everything. But go ahead.
yeah, that eight role is probably one of the most important roles. And the eight
Mm.
role is usually given to one of the best players. And it's the irony of that is that Mason Mount plays that role, yeah, and a lot of people like him and don't like him, and there's a lot of criticism around him. But why I say some of the best players, when the biggest reason why that role is important and
Mm-hmm.
needs to be a versatile role is this system's very old, but Conte kind of brought it to light again, right? Now,
Mm-hmm.
in any system, right, the midfield numbers, the key number is like three midfielders, right? When 4-3-3 came out, it it,
Mm-hmm.
it became the meta because it was three midfielders versus two midfielders in the 4-4-2, right? And that's how, and then there was variations of that, and so the kind of the key standard became three midfielders, right? Now in our system, you see how we got two sixes. Now, if there isn't anyone else to help him, in a lot of teams that we verse, those two sixes can get overrun by three midfielders.
The
So unless
opposition. Mm-hmm.
so unless one of the centre back, remember how I told you Tuchel liked to play Marquinhos in the middle. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
if one of the centre backs came into the middle, then that solves that problem. But instead, we have one of the forwards drop back, which was and what Mason Mount does a lot, and he becomes the free. And that worked a lot better. In a couple games, we tried Kova, Kante, and Jorginho, and they were too static. They stayed there, and it didn't work out. But that's how Conte likes to play, with the more free midfielders instead of 8 or 2 8s, and you can go variations. But just because so you don't get overrun in the midfield, one of them has to come back. So when Conte came to Chelsea, he quite didn't have that, and he gave that role to Eden Hazard, who has the luxury to go from forward to midfield and wide. And anyway, he had like his freedom role, but his main role was to come back and help in the midfield as well. So there is, it's a very important role, and Mason Mount has been given that role, and that's why he plays a lot of games. and it's very crucial because when he hasn't played, and I actually think Hazard can do. I mean, Havertz could do that role, and I'm hoping Conor Gallagher comes in and can do that role too, and so then we have a lot of versatility because when we started the season, I wanted Havertz, Mount, and Lukaku to play, right, and Havertz to drop back sometimes, Mount to drop back sometimes. And now it's not just one person doing the roles. So ideally, okay, this system can work really great with 2-8 coming back interchanging. Because if you remember that Villa game, and a lot of teams started to do this, they started to identify Mount that comes back, and they targeted him and they cut him out, and we lost a lot of the midfield battle. So you can say, well, maybe that role's been found out. Or that role can be involved with say, more than one person can come back. So if you had 3 up front, they can come back. So in this system, when you say role, it's a bit more complex than just saying.
And you could say one of the most demanding. Even you could argue even more demanding than the fullbacks. You think it's more demanding than the fullbacks, than the wingbacks, so to speak.
Not so much demanding. You got to be more smart, the more brains about it. You know, not physically demanding, right? Because the wingback roles are the most physical demanding. But you know, in terms of knowing when to come back, how to, and where to be in the right spot.
Overlap, underlap, and all that.
Yeah, you got to help come back. You got to link up the play. You would ideally want one of your best players to do it. I mean, Mason Mount is doing, for me, a big role. It's a very underappreciated role. People I don't think, grasp the full, you know.
Yeah, you could argue that's probably one of the reasons why, because I think it was just 2 days ago or so, we were talking about Mason Mount's argument on how good he is and how good he isn't. And my argument was started with, because he, you know, is known for his industry too. And usually people don't look beyond that. And probably because his task with that, you know, fulfilling that number 8 role, he's always present. He's everywhere on the pitch, you know, trying to support the play. So it just seemed as if all he does is just, you know, his best. The best thing he has to offer to the team is his energy. But I think it's beyond that. But because people don't seem to understand football from a technical perspective in most cases. But that's, by the way, Andrew, welcome to the panel. Just let me catch up with the chat, and I'll come back with you so we get you up to par with what we're talking about already. And this is Miyada Akira saying, watching from Johannesburg, South Africa. Nice to see you, my brother from the Madiba land. Ramsey Stevens says, hello, the Blues. Nice to see you here, Ramsey. I think you've become a regular here, and I appreciate all your supports. In life, no limit. Blue morning, people. Blue morning to you too. I left a message in live chat saying I was second to hit the like button. Yeah, I'm surprised I didn't see that. Yeah, now you understand. But thank you for that. Blue morning, everyone. Please like the stream. Yes, if the queen of the house says do something, please do it. Again, let me see if there's anything to address here. Says good morning from this side. NG Nigeria. He means Hassan Latif. My Niger brother, nice to see you here. We get our hands on both Neymar and Dembele. I don't think we're getting Neymar. We've talked about it here on the show. I'm not really going to hit. Hello, Nick. Again, saying hello to Nick. Big up, bro. Modju, CFC Steven. How do I know if this is the CFC Steven that I've been talking with on Twitter? Can you send me a message on Twitter to let me know that you're the one? Then I'll take care of that immediately. Couldn't make it in the morning. Okay, they're having a conversation. Coach, understand to get to the point. He's bothering us to the Okay, yeah, always looking for a fight with Declan. Again, good vibes indeed. Big up Kuchila. Inter agreed a fee of 7.5 million euros a year with Lukaku. That's a good deal. And if they're gonna take him, you know, finally and keep him, that will be fine. I'd love to see that happen. But that's, by the way, hi all. What we are thinking about Loftus-Cheek situation, we'll talk about that later in the show. So, Andrew, before, I want to get your opinion on the importance of the number 8 role in the system that we played mainly or majority of the times this past season?
The sixes. So
The eights.
The eights. Sorry, the eights. Or the eights and sixes and vice versa. Listen, I think if he sticks with three at the back, it needs more of a physical middle of the park. That would then allow more physical, more disciplined, more defensive part of the field. That then it allows the wing backs to progress further forward as they should do, and then allows, however you wanted to classify them, forwards or the 2/8s, to be more inside and closer to the main forward, as previously seen with Conte's 16-17 team. How that allowed, with Kante and Matic in the middle, you had Moses and Alonso further up, which allowed a combination of Hazard or Pedro/Willian to be closer to Costa. So I don't know if I think we have too many eights or potential eights and not enough forward-thinking players in terms of, or good enough forward-thinking players. That's why he's probably switched to a 3-4-1-2 with Mount just behind two forwards. Obviously, Mount's going to be in and around this team. There's no doubt about that. So the argument about whether he's good enough or not, or why does he keep picking him, I think it's a moot point. You can still criticise his performances, no problem. And maybe if we do if we build our squad properly, we don't have to keep playing Mount all the time, and he can rest and hopefully for some, I think he will, but maximise him not reaching his 200th appearance for Chelsea in less than 4 years, which is a staggering amount of games.
It is indeed.
Come in for only 3 seasons. It's just too much, and we're at risk of burning him out essentially. So I know there's a big let's say discussion about whether Gallagher can fit into this team or this system, but I would rather have someone like Gallagher who is a bit like Mount, but I think he can get around the pitch more. Is more disciplined. Who could relieve the pressure on Mount a lot by resting him, by rotating with him, and just that's what I want really. I fear Mount's gonna, if we keep playing him the way he does and the squad's not built around, Mount's going to burn out very quickly, like Marcus Rashford. I know they're not the same type of player, but they keep being played over. Because remember, he does not only just play for us all the time. He plays for England 90 minutes all the time as well. So he's going to burn out. I don't see Havertz as an 8. I don't think he's good enough as an 8. I'm struggling really to see sometimes what player Havertz wants to become, because in his mind I think he thinks he can do 2 or 3 things that I don't think he can. I think he should concentrate on being a striker or being a 9 as a forward. I don't think he's good enough to do a 10 role or an 8 role, because I don't think he's disciplined to do an 8 role, like running backwards and everything like that, or do it well. And a 10 role, you have to be creative, and I don't think he's really creative in terms of like his passing and everything like that. So it'd be interesting to see, but I would hope that they do bring Gallagher back and he's inserted into this squad, not team, squad. Okay, and then move.
Yeah, I do agree with you. Before we continue, I'm going to bring Stephen in. Steve, let me know, were you the one asking to make you a mod in the chat?
Yeah, that's correct. I'd just like to say big up everyone on the panel, man.
Big up to you too, brother. Nice to have you on again. I'll take care of it in a bit since I know it's you. Can you quickly type something in there so I can find it? Finding the other one will probably be very difficult. Again, Andrew, something you touched up upon. I think most of the players that have, who've played in that position for us this past season, I don't think they executed it very well. And you could argue none of them are a natural 8. Except for Mount, you could argue Mount is traditionally an 8. Christian Pulisic to Ziyech, no, those people don't play the number 8 position. Even Timo Werner have played there. Again, I think even Callum Hudson-Odoi, when he played in that position, he did better than most of those guys. I think he was against Tottenham. He was deployed in that position, although he, in most cases during that game, drifted to the right-hand side. So the question I want to ask now, but I'll come back to you. Let me talk to Stephen. Stephen, can you let me know again, if you're looking at it, we have a problem there. How do you think we can sort it out? Because it doesn't look like we have the tool up from there. That's probably the reason why we didn't create too many chances, because we're forcing the players that are usually on the flanks to come in, and it doesn't, and they don't operate with enough freedom, if you ask me. So that's why it just seemed as if we were poor in that area in terms of creating, clear-cut, enough clear-cut chances.
I just think we need killers in the team and a clinical striker and clinical wingers. I don't think we have that, and I think that's our problem. We need to sort that out. That's my problem, because we don't score enough goals, and we don't score enough goals from outside the box for me.
Yeah, I think that's another good argument. Declan, can you come in? You can say we have a problem in that area, even though it's easy to overlook. It's easy to overlook, but the truth is we don't create enough clear-cut chances, and it's usually almost always crosses, and it's very predictable. Maybe because we don't have good enough on number 8. Your thoughts?
Let me. The creativity has only come up this season, right? If you remember last season, no one said nothing about creativity. No one. We finished the season. Everyone said we need a striker. We don't finish. No one actually said anything about creativity, right? The creativity has come now when we're throwing Lukaku in the team and we see how useless this is, and everyone's trying to find an answer for him, right? That he's not getting at the end of balls, and people won't pass to him, and trying to find every excuse for a guy that, for me, essentially down-tooled and can't do much else but have to be served on a plate for him and for him to finish. And he can finish. I'm not going to take that away from him. But as soon as you put someone in the team that can't do nothing else, our creativity dies. Our build-up there dies. Everyone knows we're a high-possession team, right? The system actually creates the chances. If you throw more and more better people in the system, then yes, it's going to work well. But for now, the system was actually creating a lot of chances. We just didn't have finishes, right? So more importantly, over the creativity.
Well, let me ask you, where are those chances being created? Where are they from? Wouldn't you agree that 90% of the time they're all carpet crosses from the flanks?
No, when Lukaku's out of the team and you put Havertz in there, a lot of it does come through the middle. A lot of it does come wide. When teams are narrow, we find more space wide. So that's when the crosses happen. So it varies on the team, mainly. So if a team wants to keep more compact and narrow, right, we will get more crosses in. Our wing-backs will find a lot more space. But if they're not, our front three, they're too hard to defend. But as soon as we put Lukaku in there and he can't, and we lose that, that interchangeable front three, then the chances come less. But essentially it's meant to weigh up, because all Lukaku needs is a chance in that. But he struggled with that too. Sometimes he started not finishing those clear-cut chances, and we kind of paid for it. So even if Lukaku started finishing them, then it could work out. So it's not that bringing in Lukaku was completely wrong, right? But if there was someone with his finishing or not even like that good, but someone that can bring a lot more to what Havertz was doing, can press, can come link up play, then our creativity will be continued from last season, which no one ever complained about, right? And then the finishing touch was there. And ultimately, it shouldn't be just on one person. All of them should be killers, right? You know who started finishing for our team even better than our front three was Reece James and Chilwell, and they're part of the attack too.
Yeah, before they both got injured.
So imagine them two and 3 other attackers, right? That actually are clinical. We're gonna be in goal heaven. Like they're just gonna be all their chances are just going to be so goal threatening. And when one of them falls, when you have 5 people like that, so it's not when you lose Reece James and Chilwell, right? And then we throw in with Lukaku, who has a chance, but he's not getting on the end of him. We had essentially 4, right, plus Lukaku, and we weren't getting enough. Even Havertz wasn't finished his chances. So we had basically even when Havertz was in there, we had 5 people with a really bad conversion rate. Creativity is not our problem.
You're saying that you're not concerned about the 8. You're saying, and you're arguing the 8s have done quite well in terms of creating chances.
It can be better, but it's not our it's nowhere near our problem. But we're finishing, so it would be the problem won't be like the creativity problem won't be seen if these goals were going in, and the chances are there. But I'm not gonna say we can't improve those chances. Of course they can get better. A player can get more creative, and give that more tricky passes. Those players aren't that creative, but the system is giving us a lot of chances, right? When everyone plays right to the system and how it's meant to play, in the final third we are seeing those chances. What I want to see and what I'm more keen on, what the bigger problem is, the major problem is, just. I'm going to use Steve's word again, killers, hungry people. When they get that chance, it's almost going to be always close to a goal. That's what you want. And then, I mean, if you have such a really good player that even he can turn half a chance into a goal, then, we're going to be a major threat. But we weren't. Everyone was too close.
I'll come to Andrew to let me know what he thinks. But let me quickly catch up with the chat. And I appreciate this update from Liam. Say the football that London claiming Boehly is preparing to replace Marina with Andrew Berta from Atletico Madrid. I think we'll talk about that later to see even if it's good enough, if we do a better job for us than Marina has done. Again, here says, let me see if there's anything to address here. We need to sign 3 or 4 players, but we're too slow in a market. There's no way to tell whether we're too slow or not. Remember, Chelsea like to work under the radar. There's a chance they're actually finalizing deals with some talent that we're looking at. We will end up getting Benteke and Maguire if we cannot be quick. Again, that's another argument. But before I continue, I want to say we have just 29 likes while we have 114 people watching, so we can do better than 29 likes. Let's shoot for 300 likes today. And if we can get to at least 200 likes before, the 1 hour, 10 minutes mark, then we'll do a giveaway today. Again, please, if you haven't, like the video to help us reach more people, and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Absolutely, if you're happy that we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and that is from the perspective of what we've been through for the past few months in terms of the sale of the club, the sanctions on our former owner, beloved owner, former owner, and also, the restrictions on the club. Please just like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. So that's a good comment there. Only one person saying that name, and it's, again, that you guys are fighting. Enjoy it there. Again, a big up Sportswire. Sportswire, I've sent you the link in case you want to join us. You're welcome to do so. Anything here to address? If not, I'll go to Andrew immediately. Again, Odoi is more fire and too young. Dembele is an injury. Man, you cannot compare Odoi and Dembele. Odoi and Moto. I think, Simiyu, look, you must be a Ghanaian. Let me know if I'm wrong. Just humor me and let me know where you're from. You must be Ghanaian. Again, says, where is Tribute today? Here he is. Kai Havertz's natural position is an attacking midfield. It's where he made his name. Managers trying to convert players is the issue. I think I'm going to highlight this one. This is important. And Tribute has always, argued, how Thomas Tuchel has used people in the wrong positions. I think that's correct to some measure, and I'd really like us to talk about that. Odoi doesn't have confidence. He is inconsistent player. He has it all, but he doesn't believe in himself. We will look at that. So we'll see what the case, whether that's the case. Havertz not suitable for Tuchel's system. And again, you could argue Tuchel not using Havertz properly. And that begs the argument whether he should adapt, Tuchel should, start using a system that will accommodate more players we have in the team, because every time we talk about the issues we're having, there's hardly a time where we have had that debate where it doesn't come up that players are being played out of position. So that may well be a sign that there's an issue in terms of the system. He said hi earlier before the show started. Okay, again, if you look at the stats from last season, we had our highest scoring games without Lukaku. That's the truth. And we created more chances without Lukaku too. That was when it started occurring to more people, oh, he's created more problems to us than he's solved. But that's another topic for another day. Moment alone can create chances, and that's what Havertz gives us. Yep, again, he's been brilliant in some cases, and in some games we've seen him missing. When has this guy seen Havertz press or link up? He actually doesn't pass on time, and he cannot press. Again, that's your own opinion. Hey, yo, good day. One day, Dalo, nice to see you here. Again, Havertz, again, let me see if there's anything to address here. He says, I hope we end up back on this Lukaku BS. I don't, I don't tire too, and hopefully he leaves. It will be good for him and the club. Again, it says, with Havertz, we lost Carabao. Again, that's another argument for another day. A fitness risk yet, but Dembele is an absolute must need. At least one more offensive player, and one that could, that can be more effective if he stays fit. And again, I think we should start looking beyond the issues he's had and the PR nightmare that he would create, because it's looking like Tuchel wants him and the club are interested in getting him, and hopefully they're prepared, to find a solution, a strategic PR approach, to get people to look beyond that. Some fans don't rate Kai, a lot of them don't. But is he perfect? No, he's had his own issues though in this past season. I think I'm going to scroll to the bottom and catch up later whenever I can. So Andrew, coming back to you, you heard everything Declan said. Your thoughts, do you think we don't have a problem in that attacking area in terms of how we deploy the number 8?
I agree and disagree. I think in some games this season you have seen that we don't create a lot, many chances.
Or clear-cut chances, if you prefer.
Yeah, clear-cut chances. I think that's due to the lack of proper wing-back support, not backup. I know you don't like that word, so I'll use support. When Reece James and Chilwell are injured, I think we are. You've seen for most of this season. What frustrates me, and I know some other Chelsea fans, is how slow we are in transition and progressing the ball. We are one of the worst counter-attacking teams in this league. I can't remember a counter. There might have been one counter-attacking goal this season, but I can't remember a lot of it. Like a lot of chances coming from counter-attacks. It's difficult to discuss 8s in this system because I don't believe they exist in this type of system, or they can thrive in this type of system a lot.
Maybe thrive.
Well, I like what I said to you. Is that I really liked Conte's 3-4-3 in 16-17. There was no real 8s in that. I mean, Kante did get up and down, but he's not really like an 8-8, like an attacking force. He really, although he did run about a lot, he really did stay close to Matic during that season. So I don't think in a normal 3-4-3, I don't think 8s can really thrive that much. It depends really.
It's hindering. It's very hindering to them. Go ahead.
It is hindering. So it's like they either become a de facto 6 like Ruben Loftus-Cheek, or a de facto 10 like Mount, essentially, or like a Havertz. So I don't think a proper 8, as we have a design of an 8, like say a Frank Lampard 8, can exist in this system. I think what we're making a mistake of as Chelsea fans, we are trying to find the next Frank Lampard type player, the next Didier Drogba, and that just doesn't exist. That's why they're generational talents. They don't exist. They are one of a kind. And this is Tuchel's main issue, I think, is trying to establish the right players in the right positions. I think he knows what he can do with Chilwell and James. He knows the positions they're in. You know, I think if he gets a Dembele, he knows what position to put him in either the wings. But it's that midfield pairing. Who does he put in? Because he hasn't got the right combination, I believe. And also who he puts up top. He hasn't got that combination either. So it's really a bit of, you know, he's really trying to put this jigsaw together, which is why this summer is so important for him. Probably when he says rebuild, I know people are going like fans go, maybe 4 to 5 players. I think he's looking at bringing in more players, as many players as he can, to start the rebuild and build from there. I don't think he wants to be over 2 or 3 summers. I think he wants to get every player he can get as soon as possible and start the rebuild right away, start his philosophy right away, so that he doesn't have to keep renewing it every over the next few years. That's what I think he wants, because he knows we are so far behind Liverpool and Man City that he needs to start. And with the emergence possibly of a Spurs, we don't know what Ten Hag is going to do. We don't know what Newcastle is going to do, stuff like that. So he knows he has to get this rebuild done as soon as possible. So it's going to be a fascinating thing what he does and how he puts the players in. I think you might see a lot of people's fan favourites not play a lot this season or get rotated a lot, like a Kai Havertz. I think he'll get rotated a lot this season if he doesn't improve, if he doesn't start from the first game of the season, not this January or second half of the season rubbish that he gets let off with. He needs to take every chance possible. This summer he should be focusing on his finishing.
I want to ask you quickly, Andrew. Are you one of those that believe that really Thomas Tuchel is not going to switch up his approach this coming season? Because I think otherwise, he's known to, you know, play even 3 formations in a single game. He's known to switch up the formation depending on the opponent he plays next. I think he's just been forced to, you know, stick with this particular formation, the 3 at the back formation. And, you know, because of the personnel he has, he doesn't have enough to, you know, to implement the way he plays.
I agree. I also agree it's him not trusting this entire squad to play what he wants to play. That's why he's kept to this so much. That's why he's even come out and said, no, that quote after the Everton game, after the Watford game, it was like, yeah, you know, I'm going to really stick to this formation, or until after the transfer window, we'll see what the squad looks like. I think he wants to adapt. I don't think he likes, like you said, I've never seen him stay so rigid to a formation before in his managerial career. He likes to tweak things and change things, but I believe because of how the squad's assembled and the players he doesn't trust, he is forced to keep with this back 3, or he's forced himself to keep to his back 3.
Yeah, I do agree with you. VJ, how are you doing today? Welcome back to the panel. It's been a minute. Can I hear you, VJ? It looks like we've lost him. So Declan, I'm going to come to you.
Yeah, I wanted to add on to what Andrew was saying. It could be rigid on the system just because he's probably never had the players that he wants. I mean, going to PSG probably didn't get much say. Been to clubs that probably never got to fulfill his ultimate the way of playing and players. Just like, and that goes back to what you were saying, Coach. That why isn't he finding a system to suit the players? I mean, do you think Klopp and Pep, for example, changed the system for their players, or the players have to suit their system?
I think
no, you have to. If he changes a system for players, what's his name? Grealish would be on fire now. But if you notice, Yeah, go ahead. Grealish has not been
Yeah.
able to assert himself in games like he did at Aston Villa. But
No,
now
but
he's
to reach this
yeah. Go
level,
ahead.
coach, to reach this
Uh-huh.
level, right? To reach their level of football, and to reach, and there's been many teams in the past that have built a team around a manager ideal and have done great. And where, to give you a perfect example, when Klopp came in, he had a Liverpool spent one of their biggest signing for that time on a really informed Benteke. And Benteke didn't press. Benteke didn't, even though he was really good at converting, he didn't do all the other stuff that he wanted from that role. Benteke was out of there. Everyone said the same thing about like the similar stuff we've said about Lukaku and that. Well, why don't they change it to cater for him and give him the service and stuff, and he will score, right? Now you see that those two managers have changed. That they cycled that team to get all the players that they wanted and suit their system, and now you can see them thrive, right? If you're going to build around players, right, we're always going to chop and change and have the problem. And Chelsea has been, with Roman Abramovich, has been on that recruiting system. We have chopped and changed managers, so constantly to find solutions to find a system that suits players, and that's why we have one or two good seasons, and then a really bad one. Manager gets sacked. One or two good seasons, an average, and I hated it. It's one of the things I hated the most, because anytime you think we're going to get some momentum and do well, we have a really bad season. Manager gets sacked, and then we wait for the next season. Manager comes in with a different idea, and it kind of surprises everyone, and then we might win the league or do something well, and then again, and it was a bad cycle. That's what we've been doing for the last decade, or even more. The only stability we haven't had stability since Mourinho came in and was given the luxury, right, of getting the players that he wanted, and those players were some of the foundations for a long time in this team in the Roman era. So. But you can see when a manager has an ideal and you trust him and you give him the players and the patience and let him build, even if they're young, get those players to learn the manager's way, and then we go. If you're going to constantly go with the idea, well, let the manager find a solution. Well, if Tuchel can't find a solution, see you later. Bring on the next manager, finds a solution, and that's why defensive systems are the ones to easily adapt in most clubs, right? And that's why we've had a defensive system the whole time. But if you're a fan of maybe seeing more attractive football, what you've seen before, then that takes time.
But the thing is,
it didn't happen straight away for Liverpool. Sorry,
no,
what you saying?
I was just going to say, yeah, you are correct that those two managers have been afforded the time to build the teams they want to, and they have been partly successful in this. Obviously, Man City more than Liverpool, but that's why this may be the change that's needed. That this group is going to come in and back the manager and see what he can do. And maybe he doesn't like to play. He's never played for it about really at any club apart from this. So that could be the big change with the ownership, that they are affording Tuchel the time to build his own team in his own image and his philosophy that matches how Klopp and Pep have done. What he must not do, Tuchel, he's afforded this time, is to become predictable, which is what, in essence, Liverpool are. They are predictable because Klopp never changes his system whatsoever, which is what Ancelotti said in the final. He said it was easy to plot against Liverpool because you know what you're going to do, whereas like a little bit less City are unpredictable and Chelsea are more unpredictable because you don't know what they're going to do or how the manager's going to tweak. So if he is afforded this time, it's good to build, but he must then be able to show his adaptation and his flexibility in all games, which some of the greats do or haven't been able to. I mean, even Pep, look at Pep. He should actually stick more to what he does, because sometimes he overthinks it and changes things, and he loses out on Champions Leagues and everything like that. So I do agree. This is the change. As great as Roman Abramovich has been, the one massive flaw is two massive flaws is the hiring, firing, and then not working with the manager to bring in the players that they want to help succeed at this club. That is the problem. So I hope that those are two massive changes with this new ownership. And they're saying all the right words at the moment. Proof's in the pudding, right? Actions speak louder than words. Stop saying stuff and start putting stuff into action right away. Because let's face it, we've got just over 2 months till the new season starts. So
it's what I'm kind of looking for. But I wanted to say one thing. When you're saying Pep doesn't actually tweak a lot. I mean, they're both in the same boat where they've mastered or they've really got the best out of the players and the system they want. That people generally know what they're going to do, but they're so good at doing it, it's hard to counter.
You can't stop them. That's the truth.
They can tweak a little bit. There's a little bit here and there, but when you play the system to the best, other teams have to change for you, right? And that's how you got more respect. So anyone that plays Liverpool and Man City changes the way they fundamentally play, right, most of the time, to try counter what they do. And if City and Liverpool are at their best, right, sometimes you can't do anything about it. And that's the level you want to reach on, right? You don't want to be the team that actually always has to change. You want to be good at the way you play, and then hope that you do it so well that the team can't counter you at the end. But there's always going to be tactical changes.
Yeah.
But the fundamental gaming out, the thing that's going to give you the most consistent is being the best at your craft. Is the saying.
But
you know
that is true. That is true.
Yeah.
But Klopp always struggles since Tuchel's been there. He always struggles against us. He never changes the way he plays, and Tuchel always changes the way he plays against Klopp. He always does, and they've never beaten us. Pep, that's Pep's issue. Pep goes
just quickly, I just realized I made a mistake. I was referring to LSG as VJ because I thought it was VJ who I sent the link earlier. I said that was why probably the person wasn't talking. I was saying, are you still with us? LSG, my apologies, please.
How you doing, man?
I can't complain, brother. Welcome to the panel. So I was referring to you as LSG. That was probably why I didn't get a response for you. But let Andrew finish. I'll catch up with the chat and I'll come to you to let us know what you think about what we talked about.
I was just going to say that's the issue with these managers sometimes is that Klopp doesn't change when he plays us. That's why he rarely beats. He's not beaten Tuchel since he's been here in 120 minutes. And Pep plays the same way against Liverpool all the time and leaves himself open. That's why he struggles against Klopp's teams. So I want Tuchel, and you're right, fundamentally, you want your team to always play the same and be dominating. That's why other teams have to change against you. But then I also want him to be able to, in his mind, and know that with the squad that he's built, he can realistically play 2 or 3 formations that need, or make tweaks in games if something's not going right. Mourinho was brilliant at this. If he didn't like the starting lineup or how it was performing, he used to make 2 subs in the first 20-25 minutes, or a sub or something like that to get the change. So I want him to just be afforded the luxury of doing that, and hopefully he gets that this summer. So
yeah, the truth is, again, no matter how you want to master the way you play, be perfect at executing it. I think some measure of unpredictability is important. Yeah. It's important. Yeah, Man City. Yeah, the truth is, they are predictable, but they're so good at implementing their style of play that most teams won't stop them. But good managers do find a way to beat them. For instance, the case of Liverpool is that it's actually so easy. They play a very risky high line. You will always get chances in behind them.
Which is why we play against them. We sit so deep that they can't break us down, and they leave themselves open. That's why he's never beaten us since Tuchel's been here. He's never beaten us. Only on penalties has he beaten us.
And that's why it's annoying, because we get too many chances against them. We can't even put it away. But that's, by the way, I'm going to catch up with the chat and I'll come back and bring in LSC. Again, my apologies for what happened. Aluvra says, again, before I continue, We still have just 50 likes while we have 153 people watching. We can do better than that. If you haven't, please appreciate it. Support the channel by liking the video and also subscribing to the channel if you haven't. Just show you're happy that things are coming back to normal, for our beloved club, by liking the video and subscribing if you haven't. Oliver says that Kunde should be here now. I thought the sanction is over for Chelsea. Even if the sanction is over, even if we've come to an agreement with Sevilla, I think he will not come to us until the transfer window opens.
And the international break is over.
Exactly. And international break is over. Yeah. So even if you complete the signing of the player, they can't join you right now. Yeah. It's just, again, Oliver again says Chelsea take too much time. Again, that's because we're impatient. We do want them to start bringing players in, but it's not that simple. I think the age of our attack minus Lukaku is a factor as well. Look at City and Liverpool. Their attackers are in their prime, hence they are delivering. I believe we can in time, but can we wait for it? Again, that's a good input there, but I'm not sure how to answer that one. Havertz was fluid in Germany. Yes, he was really. Even with us, he's still fluid. There's also one thing we don't discuss enough in this club. Our fans are impatient and easily swayed to. You can. That's the thing. I repeat, we're not winning the league next season. We must. Let me phrase it this way: tame our expectations. If we make too many changes, it will be difficult to win anything next season. But Tuchel is capable of, doing that because he's shown that. I felt like Havertz is going to be better next season if Tuchel gets his players maybe a back four. I am tired of this back three nonsense. Again, that's a good argument to let's say we are rebuilding. Remember, we are. It's important to recognize that. So we should watch our expectations. So fluid for German team. They got knocked out. Again, that's another argument. Kai is fluid here too. He is very actually on his day. He's one of the most fluid, if you ask me. His movement and anticipation is top notch, and his ability to utilize the slightest of spaces he finds on the pitch is, I think all the players at the club cannot measure him, but he's not been brilliant. He's been so inconsistent. It's worrying. Daniel Mensah says Chelsea need to step up their game in order to get good replacements. We don't know what they're doing, so we're not going to start a fighting, over that right now. Let me see if and try and catch up. If there's anything to address, I'm not going to read everything in the chat. Again, we don't have a studio engineer. So if I haven't read, I feel like Tuchel likes the three at the back because it brought him success far at Chelsea. I mentioned it suits Chilwell, Reece James. Again, Chilwell wasn't a right wing back in the first place. He was signed as a left back, but he's able to, fulfill the right left wing back role, so to speak. But that's, by the way, week. Again, let me see here. Flexmer or Gabino, I think he's suggesting players. I'm not sure. Why would you get a Pogba when you all are crying for a DM? We'll see what happens. We'll talk about that in a bit. Tribune says that system won us 3 European trophies, an FA and an FA Cup. Anything here? Lukaku is inflexible as a soccer player. His first touch is so, again, we're not here to talk about his abilities, football, not soccer. Again, nice to see you here, Queen of All Streams. It's been a minute. I hope you're doing well. I hope everything is okay on your end. The Premier League is different and also very difficult to play in. There, we suggest we take our time in our choice. Again, that's when it's important, to make sure we get players that are suitable to the way the managers want to play. I think that will be the case this time under Todd Boehly. This will be the case of the owner wanting a certain players, and we'll go sign the check and get the player in. And then it's more like imposing the player on the manager, get it to work or you leave. I think the times where that happens at Chelsea has come to an end. And the Queen of Chelsea perspective says, hit the like button, guys, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. We've gained a few subscribers today, but I know we can do more. If you haven't, please like the video to help us reach more people. Again, anything else to say? They will be giving Tuchel more time. The Americans like to have a more stable management teams to build their teams. That's again, I think that will happen for a player that has been played out of position. He has done well. Get the proper center forward and watch Kai flourish. Again, that makes a sense. That's a good argument there. Do love. Thank you, Queen of All Streams. Nice to see you here. Mourinho adopted Ranieri's team. He brought in Ferreira and Carvalho. Drama came in for the Patet Crespo Mutu. And again, that's something I'm going to skip a lot of comments here because there's quite a lot of them. But if I see anything, I'll go back to a few of them and try to catch up with it. So I don't want to stay on reading the comments and we miss out quite a lot. Took us out for a ride. We said no. Again, I think she's talking about what Sevilla wanted to do when we wanted Kunde last summer. And Sharma here says, hello, Nick, nice to see you here. And Mo says, we're not getting a DM and the backup wing backs, thanks to Marina. Again, we don't use the term backups here. Liam, okay, thank you very much. Now, coming back to the panel, let's see your thoughts on everything we've talked about. And I want to know, more importantly, what you think about if we've created chances enough, especially from the perspective of the number 8s that we have.
I just got into on the channel, so I don't really know what was discussed.
The question was whether the 8s, if we've discussed how important the 8s are to the system, to the 3 at the back system, and given the way that they deploy usually two 8s behind a single striker. Some people call them 2 10s. Again, it depends on the application, but I think 8 is more suitable for it. That is how important that role is. And if the players that played in that position have executed it very well, because you could argue the only natural 8 that's played in that position is Mason Mount. Others are just experimental, maybe sometimes Ross Barkley.
Yeah, I think we discussed that role yesterday, a bit in depth, but when we're talking about Conor Gallagher coming in.
Which is, I think our discussion yesterday was whether he'd be able to play in that position.
Yeah,
but we're talking how well those that played, how well they've executed the role, and whether they've created enough chances.
Well, in terms of chance creation, I think they've done well. We've seen Mason being, a workhorse in that role. Chances creation, like I always say, has never been a problem. Is the finishing, and when you can't finish chances, that's when you start having conversations like, oh, is it really a big chance? Is it a half chance? And all sort of excuses, all right? Clinical attacking wingers, all right, can finish off those chances, all right? A deadly striker like Benzema can do that. Even Lewandowski can do that. They will be licking their legs for those kind of chances that we create. So that has never been a problem, because if you take a look at the games that we played throughout the last season, you notice that some of the games that we end up drawing or losing, we had chances to win. So it's almost like a broken record, when we talk about the chances. And even the ones that we score maybe 5, 6, 7, all right, you're going to see a situation where if we score 7, for example, against Norwich, that means we could have scored 14 or 15 goals. All right. So that has not been a problem. Tuchel is a manager that I think I hope he used this opportunity to change the structure. I hope he, because he's capable of playing any system.
You could argue it depends on how many players we're able to get in.
It depends on how many players we're able to get, and they should take it seriously, and give him the players that he wants. This shouldn't be a rebuild of 2 seasons. It should be done, get the players you want now, and then mold them into, subsequent seasons where you can just add 1 or 2 players, just to freshen things up or to improve the team. So in terms of that role, I think the current crop of players, obviously, they haven't met up to expectations. Because if you say if they're actually doing well, if you are really doing well, then we judge them by the standard. What were the targets we wanted to achieve? Were we able to achieve our targets with those crop of players? The answer is no. You know, we wanted to win the league. You know, the idea was to chase down Man City and Liverpool from, you know, beginning to end. You know, but we fell by the wayside. You know, even when we had a lot of leads, we even had a chance. You know, even at the significant end of the season, we saw opportunity to even leap forward. You know, probably maybe the gap by now probably will be maybe will be behind by 6 points or something. We had the opportunity to be behind them by 6 points, but we didn't take them. You know, and if you look at the entire game and analyze it, you know, objectively, you know, you discover that we never meet up front. You know, our system rely on wing backs to score the goals, and you know, the big man we have up front can press, so it's a big problem. You know, so this would be a time to address the situation once and for all.
Yeah, but again, that brings me to the next question I'm going to ask a bit. But quickly, again, if you're in the chat, we have 63 likes and we have 132 people watching. We can do better than that. Please do like the video. And this comment on the screen, because of the stick that Marina is getting, I do like it. So thank you, Stribia, for saying that. And again, thank you to Jos Viola for saying this too. We don't use the term backup here. Again, if you haven't, please like the video and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Fairboy, your thoughts on our number 8? Would you say they've done a good enough job? Or do you say they think we need to change something there?
I want to know if you guys can hear me.
Yeah, crystal clear. Your sound is good.
Okay, thank you very much. So if I look at how our number 8 contributed to attack, I think what they did was to create lots of chances for us. I think for chance creation, they did. Yeah, we can argue so. We can say a lot of it was not buried, right? So that's the thing.
But can you specifically tell me a number 8 that created quite a lot of chances? I would say, except from even Mount didn't create quite a lot. No, cover correct me if I'm wrong. Cover starts at one position for us.
No, he starts as
one of the 2 6s.
Yes, but he plays as an 8. He carries the ball like an 8.
That's just his attributes. Naturally, the way he plays makes you think he's playing the number 8 role, but really he's not. His focus, if you watch him, he's always, that's everything he starts from that number 6 position. Even progressing the ball and beating the press and moving forward. I've never seen Thomas Tuchel play him as a number 8.
But Coachilla,
yeah.
If you look at Jorginho and Kovacic, when the two play, you realize that Jorginho is the one who stays deep and Kovacic is the one who carries the ball. Number 8 do so. They carry the ball from defense to attack. They control the tempo. That's what they do. So Kovacic is an 8. Like Mount is an 8. He can do that. He can do or fulfill that role, right? So 8 do carry the ball. So I think that for me, I think that the 8s have done a good job when it comes to creation. But when it comes to finishing, the best team in the Premier League right now.
Let me just ask this quickly. I'll come back to you. Declan, do you guys agree, and LSG and also Andrew, do you guys agree we should count Cover as number 8?
Yes.
Well, it's an 8 playing a 6, if that makes sense.
That's the thing. But he's exactly.
But in the day, coach, we're talking about characteristics like 8.
Exactly. I think Fairboy is seeing him from his characteristics and not really where he's been deployed.
No, but even where he's been deployed is a characteristic role. When you say he's a 6, he's playing on a 6, right? But some positions on the field vary, right? Because so there's 2 6s, but you have 2 different players, and those 2 6s will have 2 different roles. One will have more permission to go forward. The other one has,
and one.
So to sum it up, like everyone's right. Basically, in the day, the number is associated with characteristics, but the game has evolved that much that players have shared characteristics. Roles are more unique sometimes. They're not concrete, so they're not set in their ways. So you can't just say he's this and he's that when some players have a range of abilities and characteristics in their game.
And overall, you're saying application is what matters.
Yeah.
But then again, the question remains deploying him. Yeah, deploying him deeper there. Application is what matters. But deploying him deeply there, you could argue, is restricting him because we know his ability to create chances. And most chances he's created for Lukaku, he created it, I think, deep. That is the position we see him before the game starts. I know he moves forward because he is capable of doing it, but I'm saying I don't think he should be called a number 8. But application wise, and because of his characteristics, like you mentioned, he plays as number 8.
But yeah, he can play at 8. If you gave him an 8 role in a traditional 8 role,
exactly,
he can do that. So
no
one's wrong here. It's just using the numbers for characteristics. Characteristic roles for the player and the role on the pitch, but roles they all vary. That's why it's not set. Do you know what I'm saying?
I just think while he can do a 6 role, I don't believe he's disciplined well enough to do it for a full 90 minutes. We've seen it this season.
That's why the 2-6 roles have varied.
Yeah,
you don't they don't do the same thing. And you don't want them doing the same thing. You don't want 2 of them sitting deep, and you need one that has to link up. And that's why some of the combinations we had, like, for the most part over 2 seasons, Jorginho and Kova actually looked the more compatible together. Then when Kante came in, he was meant to go. He was meant to do what Kova was doing.
Everyone loves everyone because Jorginho's so split in the Chelsea community, but Kante Kovacic's pivot is actually a terrible pivot in terms of both like to get forward. Or more forward. They like to progress more. Neither one of them likes to sit. I think in this type of system, you don't get the best out of Kova unless you have a physical DM beside him. More physical than
let's let Fairboy finish so we don't go too much into talking about the 6s. Fairboy, go ahead with your point, brother. Fairboy, are you there?
I hope he didn't give up on his point.
No, he didn't give up. He understands. I just wanted to clarify a point because he made a very good point. Fairboy, are you there? Okay. Sorry?
No, let me leave and come back.
Okay, it looks like he's having an audio issue. He understands. I just wanted to clarify something there. So LSC, you want to add to that point what we talked about Kovacic's role before Fairboy comes back in and continue with this point. And to everybody in the chat, be patient. I think I will catch up in a bit. Let Fairboy finish. Go ahead, Fairboy.
Is it Fairboy or me now?
But go ahead. Tell us what you think about this little, not an argument, but debate between characteristics and the number attached to it and something, just like Declan explained, Kovacic's role,
Naturally, the number 8
guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Unless you wanted to add something to that before you continue.
But I sound, you sound like, you guys sound like piano to me. So I think I think it's my network. I'm coming.
But we can hear you quite well. Okay, let's go ahead while he goes out and comes back. Maybe that solves his problem.
Yeah. I was saying that naturally the number 8 role, is usually boss to boss, and Kovacic is a natural boss to boss midfielder. He's technically gifted. He's a kind of player that can move around between the flanks, and he's just like what Steven Gerrard used to do. He can do that a bit for Liverpool. He's capable of linking up play, even from defense to attack. So that's what I view as a number 8. So in our current setup, I think He's one of the best in that, because we cannot really call Mason Mount being a boss to boss, but I can say that about Gallagher, like naturally boss to boss midfielder. Sahu used to be that. Naturally Sahu is a boss to boss midfielder, but we've never seen him play in that role. And maybe I've not watched a game where he played in that role. So in terms of the current crop we have, I don't know from the targets so far. I don't think we are even looking in that area.
Yeah, we will talk about it. It's just us trying to, find a solution. Like, remember, we're simulating the rebuild.
Yeah,
that's what we're doing. Yeah.
So in that regard, I think I don't think we should, go into the market for number 8 when we have someone like Gallagher in the team.
Yeah, we will talk about that. If you look at the thumbnail we have him there, so you think Kovacic is a number 8 naturally?
Yes, absolutely.
But you agree he's not playing the number 8 role for us, but just his characteristics makes him look like that's what he's doing, because naturally he bumps forward. If he finds space, he eats it up, and he progresses the ball quite well, no matter how you press him or not. Fairboy, I don't know, have I added you to the stream? Fairboy, go ahead with your points so that we can start. I'll catch up with the chat and we start talking about those we have, the players we have to talk about today.
All right. So as I just said, our 8 have created chances for us. I think in that department they've done well. But the problem is that
if you include Kovacic, right?
Yes, I would include Kovacic. Yes.
Yeah, but go ahead.
They've done
No problem.
With creativity. The problem is that they don't score enough goals for us. For instance, I think the only number 8 who has scored a lot of goals for us is Mason Mount. He's been a productive 8. But if you look at the rest of the 8 that we have, like Kante himself is an 8, right? He's not productive when it comes to goal scoring. And that is an issue.
And that brings me to my point that playing cover,
if the team has to win,
because Kante doesn't to be as effective as he would be as he was under Mauricio Sarri, where he played further forward. He was more effective. Yes. But go ahead.
Yeah, he was more effective. That is true. But when it comes to goal scoring, he rarely scores goals. For that one, it's a fact. Okay, so that is where we've struggled a bit as a team. Our midfielders don't score enough goals for us. Okay, so when the strikers are not producing, we are not getting goals from the middle of the pack, and that is not good for us. Okay, so if we ever want to compete or challenge in any way, we need to solve that issue when it comes to our 8. Our 8 should be able to contribute. Let me use the champions of England as an example, Man City. Look at Kevin De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne, as an example, his main role is to create chances. But he has double-digit numbers when it comes to goal scoring. Right? When it comes to goal scoring, double digits. And the other 8, like Gundogan, I'm sure he also will clock double digits. So that is why they score lots of goals. So I think that when it comes to chance production, yes, we produce. It might not be a full chance, but it's still a chance. But the problem is our 8 don't score enough goals, because you cannot just put the scoring burden on the strikers, right? They will definitely go through a period of bad form. So when the strikers are not performing in terms of doing their duty, it's the task or the responsibility also falls to the number 8 to be able to put in some of the goals. And that is how we'll be able to sustain a level of victories, like a consistent run of victories. You understand? So if there should be anything that should be changing next season, I think the number 8 role, we need goal scorers from there.
Yeah, we need goal scorers from there, and that raises a very important issue we have in our team. Let's talk about this Declan before we even move on. I think the last time we have our midfielder contribute, you could say, enough goals to our team is, and was it the past 2 seasons when Jorginho was our highest goal scorers, and the whole goal came from the penalty spot. Because the truth is, we're always for Chelsea fans. I think it's become a common thing to only expect the attackers to be the goal scorers. You get the point now. So shouldn't we be looking at midfielders, and not just midfielders who are destroyers, midfielders who are able to break up play, create chances? Shouldn't we be looking at midfielders who can also score goals so that we can have goals from defenders? You can say we get goals from our defenders, and that will still continue because we still have Chilwell. Hopefully he comes back the same, and we still have on the right side we still have Reece James. But in terms of our defenders scoring, well, from the midfield areas, where is that gonna come? And again, I want to say thank you very much. I'm going to try. Let me just take care of this because it's not easy to get a donation from anybody. I can't find it. Actually, that's an issue here. Let me see if I see it. This is it. I'm going to say thank you. Thank you very much to Stribia for the donation. She said, love the channel, right? So the super chats, talk the talk, don't, do the work again. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Stribia. The love is awesome. Brilliant. Nice to have you back also. And I'll try to reach you in private, but I appreciate the super chat. You are an awesome person, and welcome back. Declan, you heard my question. You go ahead, brother.
In this current system, it's a little different to how you're mentioning it. We only need technically one midfielder, which is also the person that actually is part of the front three and drops back. The two sitting ones, we don't really need them to be so much of a goal threat because they don't get that chance a lot of the time. It would be great if they are and they could contribute to the attack, but like I said, we would need more wing backs with an eye for goal, which we already have, than actual the midfielders in the midfield. What you were saying, the sixes.
Mm.
So we attack with 5, 2 wing backs and the 3 forwards that you see. As long as those 5s are really clinical, then would be running all right. And if you can get more than that, it's a really added bonus. But if you wanted to focus on who should be the goal scorer, have that in their locker, it's them 3, not the 6s that shoot for some range that you might get now and then. Not the defenders. And you know what? Our defenders are actually getting goals through set pieces, so I don't think that was a worry. Actually, it's a worry now because we're getting new defenders.
So you don't think as we look to sign midfielders, we should be looking for midfielders who can also contribute to the goals we score?
Well, take example Conor Gallagher. He looked very clinical for Crystal Palace, right? And that's what I'm hoping, that he's one person that can come in, probably can play where Mount was playing at times.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they both can play left and right. But he looked like the guy that can drop back in the midfield and also make it forward to and if he gets a chance, he looks clinical enough to score. And he did that quite a bit for Palace.
Andrew, are you available to respond to this? Looks like Andrew is is a bit busy. LSC, can you let us know what you think about what Declan just said?
Yeah, I think it's almost in agreement to what we've been saying. If we need, if he says we need, we're just one midfielder that can do the job. I thought we were looking for. We're only in the market for a defensive midfielder. I
said a goal scoring one.
Yeah, the goal scoring one there, I think Gallagher can do the job. He's got that potential to score goals and he has an eye for goal. Whether he can do it or consistently, or whether we can trust him to do, that would be the issue. Because if you look, because every decision or any opinion that I have is based on the funds available. Because I'm not going to start talking about this player, that player, when we know that the funds available won't be enough. So and from the information that came out was yesterday that Gallagher has had a word with Tuchel, and Tuchel promised him that he's not just going to be a bit part player for next season. His role is going to be quite significant. So, we can make of that, whatever we want. But I think there will be no room for a lot of players coming in. I think we just have to replace our attacking options. That will be the best way moving forward, and trust Gallagher to do the job.
Andrea, you back? I think I get you, but it remains to be seen whether Gallagher will be able to replicate his Crystal Palace form at Chelsea Football Club. And again, that's a huge question mark there. Until it happens, you can't tell. Because again, it is something we talked about yesterday. One thing is to be good, and another is your ability to adapt to how the manager wants to play. You could argue, for instance, a prime example would be the case of Jack Grealish. He's not been able to replicate the form, his Aston Villa form at Manchester City, and it remains to be seen whether that would change. It's more like even he's starting to learn. Yeah, go ahead.
What's a common occurrence at City is most of the new signings take one season to adapt, to understand the way Pep wants and what they need from him. I'm pretty sure.
We're saying the same thing, but go ahead.
You said it's yet to be seen, but most of, when Rodrigo came in and all the City players, when they first come in, they struggled, but they thrive in the second season, right? It just takes a bit more to get into a system where everyone knows what they're doing and you're very new to it, right? I'm pretty sure Grealish will be a lot better in the next season for City. And it's a common thing that happens at City when new players come in. So it's to say it's yet to be seen. Watch him next season. And there's a lot of players that have come in and followed the same, had the same problem. So it's a common thing at City. It's probably not the best example to use at the moment with Grealish.
Okay, I get your argument, but the point is, again, my point is, when Gallagher comes back, one thing is his form as Crystal Palace. Another is how much time it would take him to adapt to how Tuchel wants to play. Maybe that's a better way to phrase it. I hope you get my point. But that's, by the way, I'm going to come back with another question because let me just try and catch up here. It says Fabrizio official Manchester United confirmed that Paul Pogba will leave the club at the end of the season. Says my only problem with Kova is man doesn't and cannot shoot. And I think somewhere here, I think Street Beer, the Queen of all streams, says yes, Kova cannot score, and that's the truth. And thank you for this updates here from Just Viola. Says my only concern. I think I've read that before. Big up to you, my brother from the Madiba line. Nice to see you. And while I'm reading that, please, if you haven't, be sure to take a second to like the video to help us reach more people, because the more people we reach, and the more people that can join us here, the more fun it will be. And if you haven't, do subscribe to the channel to help us reach 3K subscribers within a few days, because I know we can do that. How can you have Cover and Barilla, no TM holding? You will suffer again. That's a very good argument there. True. Yeah, I think a Cover is an 8 or a 10, but then again, we play him deeper, but he still fulfills, plays like an 8. So I get that was the argument there. What the class says that it makes perfect sense. Don't include creations against Norwich, Leeds, and Burnley. Yeah, you can argue the issue we have is that we don't create against big teams or against teams that defend deep or find it difficult to create. That shows we have an issue breaking them down. And that's because usually, even sometimes our win back does that, but Reece has improved quite well in that aspect. Even when you press, when you come at him, he tries to take you on to progress the ball and find a chance to create. He doesn't take the easy way out, which is going backward, sideways, which is clearly the reason we've suffered against teams that defend deep. It says, yeah, hit the like button, says Tobago. And Ramsey says, we did create chances against big teams. Dean Pulisic makes 2 sitters against Liverpool, where, again, you heard how I presented mine again. Continued, it's over between Pogba and Manchester United after 100 million deal to re-sign him from Juventus. What it was the money that has been, because he could argue he hasn't lived up to expectations, but he's such a fine player. Bia is true. He either hits over or wide. Again, that's another argument. 100 likes. Come and listen to the queen of all streams. Let's shoot for 100. Then we go for more. Yes, Love says, again, let me see if there's anything to address here. 123 people and 68 likes. Yeah, that's not okay. We should do better than that. Lampard was an 8 and never defended. Kovacic and Kante have more defensive duties than natural 8s. Again, that's my argument. That was why I argued playing them deeper, it can be restrictive to them because the primary responsibility is to screen our defense, is to protect our defense. So again, but that's me. That's how I see it. That's why I didn't count Kovac number 8. He is hard nails. And again, that loads again. Thank you. Hey, the Tobago. This is people saying hello to them. And this is my brother, Matt, from another mother. Again, ZV Genius. Go check out his YouTube channel. Again, he's my brother. And believe me, I'm not saying this because we're friends, but I'm saying this truly. He's got some great content, and I know you'd love him. So make sure to go subscribe to his channel and let him know I sent you. Even into YouTube, brother. Nice to see you. Again, Kovacic is the only player in the team that can dribble, that can progress the ball no matter how the opposition presses. I get the point there. Great one. Let me see if there's anything to address. If not, Pogba officially left. What we're saying, we'll talk about that in a bit. I think we still have time to talk about creating for Lukaku against wicked teams. What is that for argument? The Sky Pulisic amount to create again. I still argue we don't create enough chances. Yeah, we miss quite a lot of chances. But the truth is we don't create enough chances. Big up Strip Beer. A lot of people forget that Kante was scouted as, that's the truth from Leicester City. And again, Ranieri started using him as a DM in most cases, or paired him with Drinkwater. So that's the reason why he does well as that. Again, thank you very much, Strip Beer, for that donation. I appreciate the love. Again, it says... Werner is the only player that is allowed to pass the ball to the opponent and earns money for doing it. That's really hilarious there. Yes, Nick, I miss you. Yeah. We miss you more, Queen of all streams, and we're glad to see you back. Apart from missing chances, Sky always plays better than Lukaku. While you will only see Lukaku, again, we'll talk about that later. I'm going to come back to the panel. Andrew, the question I asked and you weren't available to talk about it then, shouldn't we be looking for midfielders who would contribute more to goals? You're on mute. It looks like you're on mute, Andrew.
Sorry, are you saying with this 3 at the back system?
Whatever system, we should be looking for midfielders, that can, contribute more to goals. We know Kovac can't shoot, like Stribia already said. He hardly scores. Kante doesn't score too many. And again, they don't create too many either, but Kovac is an exception this under Thomas Tuchel. But Jorginho doesn't create too many. They don't score too many either.
You see, with this 3 at the back, I don't really need my pivot to score goals. I need them to defend better and distribute the ball. Then I need my wing backs to be more like they have been, and we know they are to get, and we know they can score. And then the 3 up top. So in this 3 at the back, I'm not looking really for goal scorers from midfield. However, if you switch to 4 and play a 4-3-3, then absolutely yes, I'm looking for a midfielder who can contribute at least 10 to 15 league goals. That's what I'm looking for. So maybe 10 to 12 league goals. That's what I'm looking for. But in the 3 at the back, I'm not. I'm looking for a more disciplined. I'm looking for a natural defensive midfielder who sits there, and a 6 who is disciplined. But I'm looking for that to be a tight unit, so that when the wing backs go forward, we have that protection for the 3 at the back. So in this system, no. If we changed it to a 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, yes, I am looking for a midfielder who can score goals. We might have that we might have that in some type of form with and see how he helps mature Gallagher's game, whether he can get more goals out of him. We might already have that, but with the 3 at the back, I don't think it's a viable option to have a goal scoring midfielder.
Mm. Can you come in here, Fairboy? Let us know what you think about what Andrew just said. Fairboy, do we still have you here? Alessi, you want to say anything before we move on to the next topic?
I think we can move on to something else.
All right. So then I'm going to start with you, LSC. Now, if someone likes to switch things up in that attacking area, because we've used wingers as number 8, a prime example, people who likes to play on the flanks is right wing, left wing. Christian Pulisic has played as one of the 8s. Ziyech has played as one of the 8s. Who else, again, has played there? I don't recall. In your opinion, if Thomas Tuchel wants to switch up things in terms of change and play personnel there, who do you think, who do you suggest would let go to get in better players?
Wow, let's list that. Who are the current personnel? Then we're talking about Kovacic there.
No, not Kovacic. No, Kovacic plays deeper, and I think Thomas Tuchel always prefer to play him from the deeper position. We have Christian Pulisic is played as one of the 8s sometimes. What's his name again? Ziyech is played as one of the 8s. Maybe the application differs, but he deploys them there. Who else again? I think Barkley most definitely will, if he's played there before. Kai Havertz has also played as one of the 8s. Quite a lot of them. If you're on panic, you help me with list of players who's played in that position. Callum Hudson-Odoi has also played there before.
We know that them playing there doesn't mean that that's naturally there. When Tuchel likes to do some mix and match, depending on injuries, tactics, opposition, recession, all of that, So the fact that they've been used there before doesn't mean that that is what they were meant to be if we were playing a different system. That's what we have to keep in mind, So the natural people, the natural players, that can do that. I understand Kovacic is basically a central midfielder. That was his main role at even from Real Madrid and all the other clubs he's been at. So I would still say for that particular role, if we're thinking of players leaving, I don't see Pulisic leaving. I don't see that at all. Then if we say Ziyech has played there, but that's not Ziyech's role. That's not his. It's not.
No, yeah, that's when why we're talking about him being played out of position.
Out of position, exactly. So, I don't know if Ziyech is going to leave because it has its usefulness in the team, especially when we're playing for the back. Yeah, so it's hard to figure. Back play obviously have to leave. Loftus-Cheek. I think he's playing in that position before, right?
That's his actually preferred position, but he hasn't played. He's played everywhere under Thomas Tuchel, but that position.
It's gonna be a tough one, I would say even if we are bringing in someone, I don't think from this list, I don't see anyone leaving. From this list so far, I don't see anyone leaving. So it might be an addition if we have to make, like Declare was saying, a goal scoring midfielder in that position, So if we are going to go for such players, then it will be an addition to the squad, not a subtraction, apart from the normal people that we know will naturally leave the club, by this summer.
Okay, I understand your argument. Declan, can you come in and let us know what you think of all the people that played in that 8th position, assuming Thomas Tuchel, as he said openly, that he's probably going to continue, to play in that role. If that's the case, who do you think leaves for us to get in players who do better in that role? Because clearly, I think you could argue Dembele, if we get him, can execute that role very well. Because there's a way you could call them hybrid under Thomas Tuchel. They're not static. They have freedom to drift wide. It depends on where the wing backs are. So, but Declare your thoughts. Who do you think we should let go?
From the front three? I mean, from
our all of the guys that played in the 8th position.
your 8 position is anyone in the front three. Is that right? We're not just talking about where Mount plays.
Yeah, go ahead with that.
Okay. Let me just probably make it easier with all the attackers that don't fit in the system and aren't good enough. Lukaku, Werner, Ziyech. I mean, Pulisic. I think Pulisic has a role on and off the pitch and still young, so I think that even Cho as well. So Werner, Lukaku, Ziyech, and Cho as well.
Yeah, and the question I want to ask you: how soon do you think that can happen?
See, I've been hearing this a lot everywhere.
And that's why I'm asking you this question, because I know what you're going to say already.
Yeah, because people have been saying when we change so many players, we're not going to win the season. We're not going to, compete or win the league or whatever they might feel, and it's very anxiety based, and there is truth to that. We won't be our best, but if you carry every problem that we have and we don't solve it, we're just going to have the same problems. So we can have big changes and we might not win the league, but we'll build a team and go forward. So it's basically the essential, one step back, 2 steps forward. So we won't win the league. We won't win the league next season, but 1 or 2 seasons after that, we'll be competing. But if we take the same problems that we have now, we don't solve it, we're never going to get there. We're always going to have the same problem. So if people got this anxiety, well, let's not change too quick, then
let's talk about this.
People just say it's very anxiety based. It's not. People just want to compete every season, want ready-made players, and you're never going to reach these teams anymore.
Here's the thing, Declan. Aside from changing too quickly, right? Just be sincere. How many players do you think we will be able to sign this window? To change all those players you want the club to sign, because practically you're clamoring for all of them to go in the front area, especially. In not thinking about that, the priority, obviously, the club's priority will be to sort out the defensive issues. Get in defensive reinforcement, because we'll be losing about 4 players there. And you think there's still be time, to make wholesome changes in the front area?
This is the perfect time, because of what you just said. We're already changing the defense, right? So we're already making big changes. So we might as well solve the problems in other areas as well. Make this massive change with a new owner, and the new owner can, with the FFP, can actually invest more money into the club. I think it's the first 2 seasons, right? So there is more FFP leeway when a new owner comes in. He can make some signings that might, impress the fans and get the fans on board as well, right? Some statement signings if he wants, or just very good signings across the board, right? And Tuchel can start working the way he wants to play. Because we was yet to say that Tuchel got his players, and we can start seeing what Tuchel's vision in the team. And it's going to be a slow start. We might not see it till maybe the second half of the season.
With how much, Declan? With how much? 200 million. And you're going to be able to make that whole... Yeah, let's say 200 million. Are you going to be able to make that many signings in a single window? Plus, remember, we haven't started talking...
You'll need more than 200 is what I mean. And you'll need to fill some with some of our players that we already have. And it might take more than one window as well.
That's the thing. I'm not saying... But the point is, if you agree that it might take more than one window, then we're saying the same thing. I thought you're saying there's that possibility for us to make that many changes in the same window. That's where I've always had an issue with, which is not possible.
Why isn't it possible? How many players did we bring under Lampard?
For instance, we were told...
Coach, how many players did we bring under Lampard?
It wasn't done in the same window. Was it?
It was done in the same window. It was only.
But we started, but we didn't have restrictions that didn't stop us from talking with them, did we? No. Remember,
I'm saying when the restrictions lifted.
Listen, Nicola, my point is this. Let me try and put it another way. what we're told, that's what the rumors out there is that, we'd have 200 million to spend, but that's after the sale of players. Isn't that what we're hearing?
Which is very low, and it's the number I don't believe. And
that's why.
And we said, how do you come up with
possible.
that number? No, but we already established that rumor can't be true, right? Because how did you come up with that number?
What if it is? What if it is declared? Do you think we'll still be able to sign too many players like that?
Yeah, because you can still sign 3 good players and 3 mix between the youth and the loan players, and then maybe you do 3 good players in the next window, right? And all of a sudden you've had 3 youth and loan, 3 players, and then another 3, and in 2 windows that's 9 players, almost a full team.
You're saying 2 windows. If you're saying, again, I'm going to come back to you. I'm saying if this is true,
yes, it could be 2 windows, right? Because at the same time, if we can get all the targets that we want, we'd probably do it in 1 window. But maybe it's not the case. Maybe you can't get all your targets in 1 window, right? And they make do with some others. So it will take more than 1 window. If they pull it off in 1 window, I'll be impressed, and that means they got their targets that they were going for, right? And they actually really back Tuchel. But to be honest, I feel that it will take more than 1 window. But this change has to happen, and I think it will happen over 2 windows. And it could. I'm not going to rule out 1 window. I would love to have the one.
Yeah. Again, we're not arguing against each other actually, because we all kind of agree. If that's the case, then there's no chance to be able to sign that many players in this window. Vijay, I know you heard everything we've talked about. I want you to come in before I go back to Fairboy and LSC.
I'm not sure about the last point because I was working on the setup. I didn't have my audio properly. So can someone recap what just is going on? I know declared this.
No, right now, I think where we're at right now is whether we'd be able to sign at least, fix the defense and still, buy, like how many players in the defensive area, in the attacking area declared? 3, right? 3 at least.
To leave?
Yeah, that is if we. That is.
I think I named 4, but yeah, 3 at least.
Okay, let's see. Okay, 3 at least. Do you think it's be possible to sign at least 7 players in this coming window? Even if we're not limited to 200 million.
Okay. That's including some of the youth players. Like I'll count Gallagher as one.
No, we shouldn't count Gallagher as a signing.
No, I'm counting as new face. So Gallagher,
yeah.
No, because to the point we were making, Gallagher isn't different to a new signing. The same effect as a new signing will still apply to Gallagher coming in. It's a new person, new personnel, a new face in the team. It's still part of the big change, right? But there's no difference to a new signings. Does that make sense?
It does. Go ahead, VJ.
Declared.
I can hear you.
He can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Declared.
Yeah.
But Gallagher is our player. So how does that count as a sort of transfer?
I think
no. That's taken out of context.
Yeah,
because when we started the discussion, we were talking about the major change, like bringing in too many players will have the big change effect, and we won't compete. Yes, and I said that's why I brought it up. I still count any new face part of the big change, because regardless if we signed him, if we transfer or not, Gallagher still hasn't played in the squad, so it still has an effect on the major change, regardless of he's our player or not, if that makes sense.
Yeah, go ahead, VJ. Yeah, it does make sense. Go ahead, VJ.
Okay.
We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, VJ.
Can you hear me now?
Okay. Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
All right. I'm working simultaneously. Sorry about that. But yeah, to answer your question, Chelsea perspective, first of all, an amazing question. 7 players or 6 players, maybe 8 even. You want to understand if this 8 players who might suit Tuchel, if we get him, is it going to be a good window? First of all, is it even possible? Let me put it this way, right? Like Declared mentioned, it's going to be extremely difficult to do that. But if there were a point where you can sign 8 players, or 7 players,
let's get something right here. Declare, do you think it's going to be difficult
to sign
7 to 8 players?
To sign that many players?
Yeah.
I think yes.
Well, you're not essentially signing 7 players if you bring some of your own back.
Because I wanted
changes
to
is
understand,
possible.
because you've always argued that it's not going to be that difficult if we really want to do it. So go ahead, VJ.
Yeah, like I mentioned, 7-8 new players is different. 7-8 new faces is different. Like Conor Gallagher, these guys when they come in, 7-8 new faces, I think we can do it. But 7-8 new players, it's going to be extremely difficult if you have to go this window and do it. But would that be the best way to back Thomas Tuchel? Absolutely yes. Do I think if it would be possible in this one window? Not necessarily. But is that something that Chelsea should be considering? To announce themselves as the new, having a new owner? I think that would be a statement. When you bring in 4 or 5 players, a new owner coming in, that's like a statement, right? You expect Newcastle to do that.
Yeah.
One of the richest club right now in the Premier League, not just in Premier League, in world football. Even they did not do that sort of a signing, right? You could still argue their position in the league is different, but they could still have gone for 4 or 5 new players, and of that caliber. They didn't want to do it because there is a bit of a risk involved, because you don't knowing what you're getting into. These guys are first of all new to the football business, so they're going to take that time. I'm pretty sure the organization shift is going to happen. We've already hearing news from Sports Build. I'm not sure how reliable sources, but maybe Marina is going to be replaced in the month of August. If those were true, I think we're doing an org shift here. If an org shift is happening, I would expect the changes in terms of the playing 11 or the players to be lesser, because we don't have anyone stable in the leadership at that point in time. Let's say we have an org shift that is happening towards the month of August, or towards the month of July. These top level leaders in Chelsea do not know where they're going to end up in 2 months' time. So probably no decisions are going to be taken in that period of time. And if there are new people who are coming in, these people, if they start coming in the month of August, they wouldn't know what they should be doing in this window. They've already missed out on this window. Let's be honest about it. Yeah, they've already missed this window. So in essence, you're working with an unstable leadership group.
Sorry, let me get that again. Who's missed out on this window?
I'm talking about, let's say Marina is replaced by someone, right? The same way there are some changes that are happening. Bruce Buck might get replaced by someone else. These guys have already missed out on this window, the one that, the new ones who are coming in. Yeah, because the window would have been already over before they get their hands on the club, on the leadership. So in essence, what is happening is that these 2 months we're running with an unstable board, expecting these many drastical or rapid changes to happen, which I think would be highly unlikely. And that's why I've always insisted that if Chelsea is getting acquired, it should have happened in the month of March. If it is happening in the month of May, I think we should live with the repercussions. And the repercussions would be, we don't have proper sponsors yet. We're still, confirming our sponsors in terms of the shirt sleeve, our shirt sponsors, and a lot of other things. So these things have to be sorted, first of all, to understand how you're going to generate revenue for your club. Once you're set with the revenue, and that's when you can start thinking about the players in itself. So I think it's going to be a linear process, which will take a bit of time. This window, I'm not so sure if there will be a lot of statement signings from Chelsea, because of the way that this deal got done towards the end of May, which would put Todd Boehly and his group in a precarious position during this transfer window. So maybe a couple of signings here and there to make sure that Thomas Tuchel is being supported on a long-term thought process. But then, will they make a 5-6 acquisitions or 4-5 players acquisition? I'm not so sure.
And thank you. That's some great point right there. And again, I want us to address this here. I'm going to highlight this, so we'll talk about it later about playing a single six or double six, but that's not why we're here now. So you make a good point. Again, I don't know why people don't seem to understand. Even if we want to make changes in that area, we'd have to let players go. And it's not that simple. So that's why I've always argued, now we have a serious issue in the defensive department, which means that will be obviously the club's focus to get that sorted out now. And I don't think, given what we've been through, given the fact that Thomas Tuchel actually complained that, that the restrictions hasn't helped us. I think if he's referring to the transfer, activities, I think is correct, because usually you start talking to players early. By the time the window opens, it's easily to get deals done. So, February, quickly, your thoughts on what VJ just says before I go to Andrew. But let me try and catch up with the chat. I've read this one. And again, I want to say, I'll remind you guys, we have just 11 likes to get to 100 likes. I know we can get there before the show ends. Please, if you haven't, take a second to like the video, to support the channel, and also do subscribe to the channel. We've gained almost 30 subscribers today, and we can do even more. And while you're at it, let us know how we can do better as a channel. Okay, VJ, I just read your message, so no problem. Again, or maybe you sent it long ago now. Okay, now, not her in the sense of making my pictures, but she was nice. Yep, I think I miss Melissa too. Maybe she's busy. I hope she finds time to join us someday. Thank you for bringing that up, Nick. But the big teams don't break us down. That's the thing. But smaller teams make us suffer. When smaller teams defend deep, pack the balls, we hardly create chances. That's one thing we must recognize. Also, Chelsea interested in who? I don't know who that is. Really, Chelsea will buy Dembele and Neymar. I don't think we're going to buy Neymar, Dembele. Maybe that is looking more likely. And the news is, again, one of the reasons why you should start seeing these things as all speculations is this. First is that we heard that we're actually wrapping up the deal that he may well join us soon. Now we're hearing that he's waiting for Chelsea. But the truth is, one thing is true. I think we're really looking at him. In life, no limits, both will go. If there's chances, we'll lose about 2 players in the attacking area. I'm sure that's what True Blue is talking about, really, because the truth is, Ziyech will feel disrespected and may well decide to leave the club. And again, for him to leave right now, it's easy. And if Ten Hag is smart enough, they'd come for him, because he'd be willing to join him, given that he's had his best form under him at Ajax. Lampard never defended. Yeah, he never did. If you concentrate mainly, again, if you ask me, in attacking, but he does come back sometimes to help the team defend, if you want to see it that way. Again, this is people saying hi. We're Chelsea not the 4th highest scorers across Europe this season. But even at that, I think that's in the Premier League. How many did we do well in terms of creating chances? Talk about that. Again, I know your argument. I know where that's coming from. I get that. But that may well make some people give up. Well, you know what? I think, we created enough chances. We didn't create enough big chances. I'd still argue that to tomorrow. 200 plus goals made Lampard. I think, that's why that mantle is his and will be his for a while. Before anybody, and I'm not sure who's going to change that. Again, says Saad, I want to ask something. Is it true Chelsea want to buy Neymar and Dembele? I don't think Chelsea wants to buy Neymar, because he comes with a lot of baggage, plus his wage is something else I don't think would be able to deal with that. Again, that's me. If it is true, we'll find out. Strippier, did you ever see him win a tackle or header? But again, that's a conversation there. Lots says, Nick Blue, big up, bro. Hope all is well. Big up to you, Joe Bob, by the way. I haven't seen you in a while. I hope you're doing well. A few. And again, it's not, winning tackles and winning headers is not his forte. Don't care. He smacked the ball. Yep, he scored quite a lot of goals. So that makes a huge difference. Why did you time out Kim? So he's a regular nowadays. Being a regular, maybe he's done something wrong. That's why probably the Queen timed it out. Just needed to pass the ball to the wing backs and the insides. Says Serbia, lots of penalties. Makalele allowed him the freedom. Again, maybe that's how the manager wanted him to play. He's slightly weird, but calling me out. Again, let me see. Again, I don't think there's anything to catch up with here. I'm just going to go back to the panel. Then later I will look again because it's just me scrolling through lots and lots of inputs. Coming back to you, Fabo, your thoughts before I go to LSG.
I like the points that VJ raised, and it's very important. You see, we fans are here making noise about spending, expenditure. Let's bring these players in. Let's bring that player in. The question is, do we have a stable source of income? Where are we getting revenue? Do we even have a source of revenue to be able to spend from, right? And a lot of this revenue comes from our sponsors. I think Chelsea's current sponsor is Trivago. Will they continue to be our sponsor coming next season under this ownership? Maybe, or maybe not. You understand? So the fact that we don't have a source of income, like because of the change in ownership, we don't have a source of income, right? Because perhaps maybe the sponsors don't want to stay here, or perhaps the new owner would try to change the sponsors. So before we start thinking about spending money left, right, center, we just need to think about income source. And that's very important if you want to spend, right? And again, back to the point that Declared was making about bringing in new faces. Now, with the point that he's making that we'll be bringing in some of loanees and others, right, whilst also purchasing, I think that would be brilliant, since we have a limited resource of 200 million per report, right? And of course, that report has not been counted, so we cannot say for sure that the report is a lie. If a report that says something different comes, then fine, we can say that it wasn't true. But we will stick to the 200 million because that's what has been reported to us on the basis that we sell. So it means that before we could even get players to come in and change things for us, we would need to make a massive overhaul of certain players in our squad. And if that happens, then it means that the rebuild will be very, very difficult. That's what it is, okay? So if the 200 is the aforementioned budget for our transfer, and we are signing over 7 players, I'm not sure we'll be able to get the targets we want or we need in time with these 200 million. But if it is the 200 million to buy certain targets, whilst we also use the players that belong to us, like Gallagher. Gallagher is ours. He's on a free. We didn't pay to acquire Gallagher. Gallagher is with us. So for someone like him, transfers don't count. You understand? So if you look at everything that we are talking about, everything we've seen, it's important that we get a stable source of income. That's the first thing we should be thinking about. Is our club ready right now? Are they in the position to be able to buy? Do they have a stable source of income? Because if it is true that we need to buy or sell players before we acquire players, then we are in serious trouble. I think on one of our streams, I was asking this question: if a player like Ross Barkley or Bakayoko or Drinkwater, right, and those other French players, if you combine their value, would we get up to at least 100 million or 50 million? You understand? So if it is true that we are going to sell players to buy, then it means that we have to sell some of our most valuable players, like Pulisic, right? Maybe we are hearing reports that United and Co want Mount. Maybe we sell Mount. Do we want that? That means that we are destroying the entire squad. So for me, I think Chelsea fans as a whole should be patient. We should hold our horses. We don't need to rush, right? It's a rebuild. Little by little, we'll get there. So the important areas which we need to cover, which is the defense, let us cover that. The midfield, the DM position, we need to cover it. Let's cover that. We don't know if we'll bring new attackers. It is true that maybe it is true that Chelsea are interested in Dembele and other things. But since we have a limited budget, and the prices of the defenders you are buying, like Jules Kunde, about around 60 million thereabouts, right? It will be very, very difficult to be able to bring in new faces. No, not new faces, but like a lot of new faces into our club, purchasing them with 200 million budget. It's not going to be possible. So I think that what the club would definitely do is to strengthen the areas where it needs strengthening, and that is the defense, right? For the attack, even though it is that bad, we can make do of it until perhaps something changes. So that's my thoughts on this.
Yeah, I think that's another great point there. But Declare, I know we'll fight that tomorrow. Again, your thoughts, let's see, so that we can talk about the individuals we have on the thumbnail.
Yeah. There are a lot of issues raised so far. There are some that I agree with. There are others I don't agree with. In terms of the window has barely opened. We still have opportunity to, get some of our targets. I know we're at a disadvantage because of the sanction situation. So now that the door is open, so I don't think that we should have excuse in that direction. Then on the issue of whether new players can just come in and can challenge for the league, or if it's better to build the team in phases. All I have to say about that is Roma 0405. About 9 new players showed up. And we won the league. So it's very, very possible for that to happen. In terms of the funding that will be available to do this, or whether we have funds or not, I believe we are not, as financially, those are as people might want to believe. What happened to the 1,750 billion, right? 1.7 billion that they had. Yeah, what happened to it? That's supposed to be the kitty, right? That Roma put in place for transfers to occur. So whatever happens, that money, in my opinion, according to the reports, was supposed to be across 10 years, right? As the primary source, just like a war chest where you see every year Roma bringing 19 million in every year to the club, That's what that money is supposed to be, all right? So now, from the context of rational expectations, you would believe that the funds for our transfer should come from there. And whatever we gain from sales and all of that will just be to, reconcile the accounts, So I don't believe that we're in financial troubles. As part of our sponsors, we still have lots of sponsors, all right? The sponsorship of 3, and Ionda, we're just, so even till now, the Ionda one, I think we've got rid of them now. They were only giving us about 10 million a year. Now we have Wayfin that can give up to 20 million a year. The deal that we have with what's the name?
So overall, what I want to get from you, yeah. And let's see, more importantly,
the deal that we have.
Do you think it's?
Yeah.
But go ahead.
I just want to address some of the issues raised.
Go ahead.
The deal that we have with Trefago gives us about 40 million, pounds every year. So we even have larger than that. We have this with Nike. We have a lot of organizations that want to deal with us. So we do have the funds. So my issue would be a restructuring of the entire wage. I can't understand why players like Malansa is earning 120 a week, and Shaloba is on less than 20K a week. I don't understand that. So that's
We
what
got him on
needs
a
to
free
change,
transfer.
you
That's
know?
why.
Yeah, yeah, we got on a free transfer. It doesn't mean that his wages has to be bumped up to that level. You know, it was part of a deal for Lukaku.
It's usually what
That's what
happens.
I believe. You know, even Yokohama Tires, right? That used to be our main principal sponsor. The deal we announced with them, I think that was 2021. All right, was for what? 590 million. Yeah, 590 million for 10 years. You see what I'm saying? So that's like 59 million a year. Okay, so we do have the funds. All right, let not listen to paparazzi. There was one guy that come up with some bullshit, some very bogus statistics on the internet, and I saw a lot of Chelsea fans lapping it up, saying, "Oh, we are so broke, we don't have money." You see what I'm saying? You know, that was all part of the agenda at that time to heap on us, to heap on the misery that we were facing. So financially, I think we are buoyant. We just need to be decisive in the window, know what you want, and go for it straight away. All right, you don't have to wait, you don't have to contemplate, or think twice. If that's the player you want, go straight away. All right, but my issue now is this. I think Marina is leaving, according to the reports, that she's leaving in August, all right? So which means she's still going to be the one in charge of the transfer. So let's sort out the mess she created, some of the, the transfer window, some of the players, that we now have as deadwood in the club. Let's sanitize it. Let's sanitize it, and then we can bring in some good players, with good wages or free, with on free transfers and give them good wages.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that. Again, we can all agree it's not something that's going to be easy. I know Declared, if you like, fight with him till tomorrow. We'll say otherwise. Let me just try and catch up with the chat. Please, we have just 7 likes to get to 100 likes. Let's shoot for 200 before the end of the show. If you haven't, if you're happy that we're at the end of the tunnel and we can see the light, finally we can sign players. Finally, the restrictions are over. Finally, we sorted out, the conundrum called the sale of Chelsea Football Club. Just like the video to help us reach more people. And if you haven't, please do subscribe to the channel to help us to reach the 3K in a few days, and we can actually do that. In Life No Limit says, guys, we need to sell before we can buy, not just for the sake of revenue, to free up space. More importantly, to free up space. I love that. And Declared, I hope you're watching this, because I do know you consider that too, but you're very stubborn in terms of your opinion when it comes to selling, getting in new players to free up spaces.
Can I add something?
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
How much did we spend net-wise last season?
I'm not sure. That's something I don't know.
0. Yeah. We sold as much as we spent.
So you're very much aware that we need to sell before we
don't,
able
because
to bring in play.
What we had was a season where we profited, right? Because we sold as much as we spent, right? But the sanctions hit a blow. But now we have a new owner that is allowed to pump in more money. And like I brought up before, the FFP has a rule for new owners. When they come in, they're allowed to pump more money. They get a bit more leeway. Yeah, so that's why I said it's the best window, or this one and the next one, for the consortium to invest in the team now, right? When it needs to most, because you saw people leaving. When I say I wanted those attackers out, I feel like players like Ziyech, Lukaku, and Werner actually want to leave. Not that we are trying to force them out. I think that, but 2 of those players been here for 2 seasons, probably feel that they can do better somewhere else and not in the system and under Tuchel, right? They've shown their frustration. Even Werner said something, Werner was positive for a long time. And then, only recently he questioned the system. So I think even he's leaning that way. I think they're all looking at the exit doors. And there's a lot of players. So what better time when we have to buy a whole bunch of new players? We buy them with the characteristics that Tuchel wants and needs. Yes, we're not going to do very well because there's going to be an adjusting period. But what better window when the owner is allowed to pump more money in? Yeah, we didn't spend a lot last season. Right, so that helps with FFP as well. So we're allowed to actually spend a lot, And why not do it? And why not do it in the window that we need a lot of players?
Exactly.
And plus, we're going to generate players. If I still think Ziyech. I think we can make money actually on Ziyech. I think Werner, right, would be great to get off the wages, and still we can get back what we paid, right, at least. And Lukaku, we make a loss, but I think not a massive loss, especially with some of the reports. If we get some of those deals, Lukaku won't be that big of a loss, right? I still think 70 mil. Someone said 20 million loan with 70 mil. If you pull that off, that's genius, right? But it's not with the money that can be invested, we can recoup a lot of money too in changing some of these players, and some of these players on the massive wage bill. Like, I know it's a big talking point with Kunde, but if you get Kunde off the books, right, because he is on one year left, you can actually make quite a bit of money on him, and he has a big wage to his name as well. So you can bring the wage bill. So we are basically what I'm saying is that we're in a prime position to spend a lot, which even in the discussion before we talk about even spending a lot, in some different seasons and in different windows, FFP and wage bill, and we'll have some restrictions won't even let us bring those players to even have that impact of that you guys are mentioning, that if we're bringing too many players, it's going to affect the team. There's a lot of clubs that actually want to do that and they're not allowed to, right? This is the window we're allowed to, and might as well do it. Yes, I agree with everyone. We won't win the league. There's probably a lower chance of winning the league like that, but we will start playing in the way we should be playing. We will probably look a lot better, right? And and then there'll be very fruitful seasons ahead. And I'll be happy to see it. You'll see improvements, and we can all get excited about what we see if it all goes well. So I think this is a window to do it, and I'm actually excited because I feel like they're going to do it.
Yeah, I do agree with you that this is the window to do it, given that new owners are allowed to spend a certain amount of money, given it's called investment again. But the fact is, do we have the time? Do we have the luxury in terms of time? Do we have the luxury to do that? I would say no. But I'll come back to you in a bit.
Yes and no, Coach. I'll just quickly add. I feel like some of the transfers are from last window, aka Kunde. Do you know what I mean? And I think there was a lot of players that we were after and didn't get, right? That we can continue. Like, for another example, if the stories are true about Hakimi and he's actually really keen on leaving, that would include with him taking a wage cut, and maybe PSG with the Mbappe contract maybe need to get players off their books. Maybe it could be win-win for every party, right? I still see a low chance for that, but I'm being real hopeful here. If it works for all parties, then that's a transfer that was continued from last season, that we can just pick up and go and make it happen, right? And I think there's a lot of players that were that we were linked with that we didn't get, that we can just continue. So maybe we don't have time, but maybe we already put in the time earlier.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Again, I will come back to you, to Rodrigo, to add his opinion before we start talking about the individual players. Here, Drinkwater has already gone. His contract is finished. He left a statement, a touching statement indeed, and heartfelt. He's brutally honest to himself and to everybody that gets to read it. And we have just two more likes to get to 100 likes. People, we can do that because we have 101 people watching. Please do like the video if you haven't. And if you're happy that we've gotten a new owner, not because we're losing Roman, it's painful to lose Roman Abramovich as our owner. We love him so much, but circumstances forced him to sell the club he loves so much. So it's a bittersweet moment. We're losing one of the best owners of football clubs in the world, but we're getting a new owner. At least our club didn't go down. That should make us happy. So if you're happy about that, please take a second to like the video and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't. So now he says, guys, we need, again, the second part is what can I get? He said, let's start off fasting and praying that Lukaku goes to Inter and Werner to wherever he wants. Can I get an amen? I'd say an amen to that if it's going to happen and happens so quick. And the Queen of All Streams says, so dislike Drinkwater. I bet if you read his farewell message, you're going to start liking him because he was very, very truthful in that. Again, I urge you to go read it, Quinn. I think you'd like it. So if there's anything else to address here, I wouldn't be reading so much now because there's so many, but I'm working on getting a studio engineer. Smash the like button. And she's laughing probably to what she says that apart from the Liverpool goal, he was nonsense. I do agree with you. Felix says, yes, Lazio are said to be interested in signing Ruben Loftus-Cheek this summer. Again, that's me. I wouldn't let him go, but we will talk about that. RSC, keep him. Again, Tuchel likes him. He's played him in some positions that look like he may well work in those positions, but I'm going to try to catch up as quickly as possible. There's quite a lot to read. Tobago is still a training kit sponsor, but Finn, I have replaced, Hyundai on the sleeves for double money. We have 20 million from Hazard. We're debt-free and allowed to spend 90% income. Wow, that's a schooling right there. Good point there. I appreciate that. Kunde will be wicked. He's such a fine player. He's short. I know some people are concerned that he's short, but he has a great leap in him. I don't think aerial duels will be an issue for him. He's one. Again, even though you'd be taller than him, I don't think you beat up to that. We don't have the funds, hence why we have been losing 900. How much a week? Can you explain that further? I'm not sure what you're talking about. That you think they're done correctly? 27 chances in 26 games. Those are Chelsea official stats. Yeah. Again, you have the chance to go. Look at those things. So I'm going to come back to the panel. Rodrigo, your points on what we've talked about so much. You heard us talk about. Again, you have the chance to catch up, so we can talk about the individuals we have to talk about.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, crystal clear, brother.
So what I wanted to say first is on this idea that we need to sell before we buy. I think we don't actually have enough time to sell players first and then buy. I think what we need to do is buy, bring in the players. Everyone has explained how we have the fund, like Declare said, we have the fund now to actually go in and buy the players. In fact, that will actually speed up the selling process, because what a Timo Werner will see someone being bought in his position, that's a clear indication like, mate, you need to go. So I think what we need to do is focus on bringing the reinforcement that we need to do. I think clubs can do things, they can multitask, right? It's not like, we need to bring in first and then we're going to sell later. So bringing in the players that we need to, and then at the same time also negotiating with clubs that are interested in our players. I think one thing that hindered us in the past is that we were unrealistic about certain prices we were asking for players. People like Batshuayi could have been sold. Alonso, yes, we were asking for maybe prices that no one is willing to pay for these players. I think now, if we bought reinforcement, that might even force us to just accept the bare minimum. For people like Alonso, £5 million bid coming from Barcelona. You know what? Shake hands, let him go. He's been an okay servant. He's served us well. He can go. Aspi, again, if he's happy to leave, he can go, just so that we can do both things. The new blood and speed up the process of allowing these players that actually want to go. So that was my.
What I want to ask you quickly, while I'm still with you, Rodrigo, how many players do you think you can bring in this window? Whatever answer you have for that, tell me why you think it's possible.
If I were in the office in the Chelsea headquarters making these decisions, I'd say bring in five new players.
You think it's five? Yeah, at least we need at least 5, given that we're losing how many defenders. Mm-hmm. But go ahead, tell me the 5 you have in mind and explain how possible it is.
In mind, I'm thinking 2 centre backs. So we're talking Kunde. Hopefully we can definitely, because I've seen this in transfer window where you've been linked to a player, you've negotiated, but you just not come into the final 10. So hopefully that's sorted soon. And then we can bring in Koulibaly. The reason I want Koulibaly is his experience. I've watched few of Napoli games, and I've watched him a lot in the AFCON. I think he was the defender of the tournament. He's unbelievable. It's really, really good. So we bring those 2 guys in, and then we're moving into midfield. I think I'd love to bring one more body in midfield. I'm in the opinion that we need to keep the three guys, Kante, Kovacic, and Jorginho. We have to keep them all, but we need to bring in one more person because we know these three guys would never play the majority of the games. That's just, we've seen it. They can't play all the games. So we're bringing someone in. Who I'm thinking of Bissouma from Brighton. Obviously, he has legal issues, but hopefully that can be sorted before then.
But we're hearing that he's just a witness. He's not the suspect.
It's not this. Okay, that's good then. If that's the case, then yeah, that's good. Because obviously,
where does he fit in? Because it's something Declan argued the other day. Is more of a box-to-box player, and we're looking for a defensive midfielder. But I argued that he'd be able to fulfill that role too. So go ahead.
I've watched few of Brighton games. There are games where he actually sits. I think they play Moepo and Bissouma, or Moepo and what's the other guy? Lallana. But sometimes he does sit. He does sit. I think it depends again. If Tuchel persists with this 3-4-3, I think a Bissouma can play alongside a Jorginho, alongside a Kovacic. It's about communication, because you're playing with two guys. They need to be able to communicate and say, right, when I push, you need to stay. When I cover this area, I think he can do that. If we're looking for purely sitting DM, someone that will sit in front of the back three or back four, whichever position, then I'm looking at Sangare. Again, with Sangare, I'm not going to lie, I didn't see a lot of PSV games. The only games I've watched him play is for Ivory Coast in the AFCON again. And he was brilliant. I've watched Ivory Coast against Algeria. He was, I think, man of the match in that game. He reminds me of Ndidi. He's in that mold of DM that can sit, like an Obi Mikel, that can sit and sweep in front of the back four. So, and then moving forward, so that's 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
But the issues that's been talked about Ndidi. His ability on the ball is not that great. But what he does is he's gonna win you. He's gonna win you balls.
Yeah, that's why exactly. So if you have an Ndidi, for example, you play in a 4-3-3. The two guys that he relays the ball to have to be really good at linking between him and the guys playing up front. So that's why you have an Ndidi and a Kovacic, and then maybe a Mason Mount as the other 8. I can see that potentially work. But again, or maybe you still need someone like a Mata or David Silva back in the days. I don't know where you get these type of players now. I think football has moved from those type of intricate football type of number 8 or number 10/number 10, but from back in the day. So I think it's very tough. But for me, if Bissouma is it will be a good fit for our team. I think he's one of those players that are just on the cusp of like going to a big team, but they need that opportunity. I think if that opportunity at Chelsea, I think it will be a beast. It's a really good player. Yeah, and then I think his injury record is not as bad. Yeah, I don't know about his mentioned about a yellow card, but I don't know about his disciplinary record. And then we don't. Another major area that we need to look at is the front line. The front line might actually be an area where we might have help from the players that actually that want to leave. So if Lukaku has had enough and he wants to go, I think we should shake hand, thank him for the services done, and let him go to Inter Milan. And then we can bring...
And even if Lukaku wants to leave, I wouldn't even advocate for us going for another striker, because Tuchel doesn't like that. But I'll come back to you, and I appreciate that.
Can I bring a point into the mix?
I wanted to ask you something quickly. Let me ask you something.
And I'll throw in my fingers as well.
I'll ask you. What I wanted to ask you, and I want LSE and also Fairboy to listen to this question now. If Lukaku leaves, should we even bother about bringing in another striker, given that we've learned that Tuchel doesn't really like to play with out-and-out strikers?
For me personally, I don't
the right player.
Let the class start. Go ahead, Declan. I'll come to you, Rodrigo. I'll come back to you.
Yeah, I think we'll all get an answer too. It's the right attacker. It's the right player. You know that inside for that killer, the killer instinct. The winger that can score whichever one the player want it. The one that can play one the front three. Because you take out Lukaku, we still got the same problem we had at the start of the season where we weren't scoring enough. We didn't have players that can convert. And if we get rid of Lukaku, I'd like to see maybe more than one. I think still Werner has to go. That's still a problem. Unless some miracle happens and he gets blessed.
No, if you're talking about
goals.
Werner, then you're talking about a different caliber of striker. I'm not talking about strikers in the mold of Lukaku.
No, Lukaku was the wrong characteristic, which is what I was against. Because the way Tuchel treated Tammy Abraham and Giroud, it didn't make sense for me to bring in someone like Lukaku. If you had two players with the characteristics of being a focal point, and you didn't use them at all, you decided to go with Havertz and not use them, then why would you bring in the ultimate focal point in Lukaku? It didn't make sense. It was going to the extreme. We could have kept... Giroud would have done a better job. Giroud can at least bring a lot more than he could score goals, but he can play off. Every player has complemented. Yeah, a lot of players have complemented. He's one of the greatest strikers to play off against. Hazard loved playing against him, and there's a lot of players that loved playing with him because they link up play. He would have done a lot more. So if you get rid of Lukaku, you bring in the right striker that we needed, and I would like to see more than one. But the point I was going to ask you, Coach, before everyone else starts answering, do you remember how many signings we did for Lampard?
Quite a lot. But did we do that in a single window? You let me know.
Yeah, and I think I had it up somewhere. So it was 6 signings, and it was 7 if you count Sarr, but you don't count Sarr. So it was essentially 6 new team. Two of
them was on a free.
Here, I got it. Kai Havertz, Werner, Ben Chilwell, Ziyech, Mendy, and Silva. And
Silva was on a free.
And Loftus-Cheek came back. And Ross Barkley came back on his loan as well, right? And we signed Sarr and loaned him out. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Loftus-Cheek and Barkley. That's 8 new faces in the team. So it's not that it's impossible. It's not that it hasn't happened before. We just did it 2 seasons ago, and the problem is that Lampard window that those players, that should have been our rebuild. That should have been the start, and we should have been properly into how we want to play and not have to bring in so many players. But we've made so many wrong signings, and so we have to start that again. And the longer you put it off, the worse it's going to be. So people got to get rid of this anxiety about changing too many players. We done it 2 seasons ago, and everyone was happy when that window happened. Everyone was overjoyed with we were excited at all these great players coming in. When you heard these names and you seen how they play, we're all excited. So that should squash the myth about bringing too many players. We just done it.
Yeah, you could.
And we need to do it again.
The manager, wasn't it? You could argue was a wrong manager with lots of signing. I don't think Lampard had enough experience to handle change.
And the transition from Sarri as well. So he had Sarri players, for those players, Lampard not good enough, and we got a bit of a mix. And also the transfer's not working out, because if these players actually performed, they could have made Lampard look way better than he was, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? Even Sarri needed some time too. I think Sarri's play could have been better if he stayed as well. I believe that as well. So there's a whole mixture of mistakes with not giving a manager time, not getting an experienced manager, and the wrong signings. And we got a big storm here over like 3 seasons. So we got a big mess, and we got a new owner. So that's why I feel, and that's why I sound very ruthless in let's cut all these mistakes out. We need to start again, and let's start on a good start. Let's start properly,
Yeah, I want to quickly recognize the presence of again. This is like the second or third time he's stopping by. Again, I appreciate you, legend. Thank you very much. To say hello to Monster CFC. You can say one of the biggest YouTube channels in the Chelsea community. I appreciate you, brother, stopping by. I love the support. Again, I can't thank you enough. And I'm going to try to catch up with what we have in the channel now. Come to LSC and then Fairboy. Big up Monster. Yes, I say hello to him. I don't think so. We can play without a striker. Liverpool and City do it. Why can we? We were the fourth highest goal-scoring clubs across all leagues, and Lukaku didn't offer much. Better to have many goal scorers. Again, I'd argue that also anytime, any day. But that's me. I don't think if he leaves, we should even worry ourselves about getting in a striker right now. We should take our time, bring out Amanda Broya to fulfill that role for us. Why we take a time to scout and get a striker with the characteristics that will fit seamlessly into the manager wants to play. And this is the Queen of all streams. So hello to Monster. Are we still talking about Lukaku? You guys you really hate your boy. No, we're not talking about him, but he want to leave. He's leaving. We talked about it here on the Blue Money Show, but some people think it's all rumors. But it's becoming clear he really does want to leave. In fact, it's not just using his agents. He's using his lawyers to find a way to make sure it happens. Again, 2 center backs, 1 wing backs, 1 wing back, 2 CMs, 3 attackers, and a couple of youth academy players. We will be better than this season. Again, this is a whole new team here you're suggesting, but that's okay. Just one man strike here. I get your argument there. I know 6 signings in for Lampard, and Declan made some good points there. Excuse me. Chelsea will keep on making the same thing. We don't give our players enough time. That's the truth. No, we don't. But this time we need to get Tuchel signings. That's the thing. Again, if he doesn't trust them, we need to help him get the players he like. And then if after that he doesn't do well, then maybe he gets the sack. We got our fullbacks again, both of them, but they need a serious competition. Chilwell is back, and hopefully he comes back the same. Reece is fine, but he needs a serious competition to make him even better. I'll bring back a lad Broya and Gallagher, then buy Jose Jimenez, Atletico, and Kunde to boost our defense. Then Declan or Bissouma can help us. Again, your suggestion. Libel, nice to see you back again, brother. Always nice to see you. But that was coming off a transfer ban. So we had a lot of money saved up for Frank to spend. That's why we bought a lot of players. Again, you could argue that. But in this case, I think Declan's argument is that the new owners are allowed to spend as much as they want to. I don't know if there's a limit. You let me know. Again, he says...
Well, the main point was about the change, coach. Everyone's fear about changing too many players. That was the... That was what I was answering. Yeah, people had anxiety about changing too many players. And we just did it in that transfer window. And, why not? We can spend as well. So it both applies. Even though we came off a transfer ban, it's almost the same. We had a net spend of almost 0 last season. Yeah. So it's almost like having you know what? We spent more in that transfer ban with signing on Kovacic and Pulisic, I think. We did both, I think, because they were pre-agreements. So we actually spent more in the ban season than we did last season. So, yeah, there you go.
Okay, let me quickly catch up here. It says, I don't know how to pronounce your name because it's not written in English, but I know you're one of us here. He says, next football team will have 5 subs allowed. This will be good for rotation, which means we can actually keep a lot of players. So that makes sense. Says Alvin Angade says, imagine a Paul Torres, a Silva, and Khalidou Koulibaly at the back. Goosebumps. Again, how much do we have next season? Again, Marina is leaving. Yup, it's not Marina, but I hope she stays because she's a shrewd negotiator. But again, unfortunately, a lot of people blame her when things go wrong. LSD, I'm going to come to you. I want to start you with the question regarding this brother right here. And the question is, what do we do with him?
I think I heard a rumor that Sarri wants him. If Sarri wants him, then send him there. I think Tuchel likes him. The only hopes he's able to use his body more. He likes to liken him to Balak. Um, well, I think he had a lot of minutes this season, right? He played a lot of games this season.
And there
So
were times he's played in a position where we said, wow, maybe he should play there more often. We count out the number 6 position because it looks like whenever he's played in the number 6 position, we've lost games. I don't think we've won a single game where he played in that position. I could be wrong though, but in most cases, our defense are exposed. But I don't blame him. Our defenders have been exposed because that's not his traditional position, and he can't read the game. So I don't think it makes sense to play him in that number 6 position. And he's not as quick as Cover. Cover can tackle quite well, better than him. That's why Cover does better in that position than him. But go ahead with what you were saying.
yeah. So it's all going. I think the preseason is going to be a major determinant.
Mm-hmm.
Because they all have equal. It's like they're all starting from point zero. Forget about what happened last season and let's start from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
So if he makes it, then it means he's well deserved to remain at the club. I don't think he's going to keep on mourning and he's going to mourn at all. He's been very, very unlucky with his injuries. So that has been a major factor of him not fulfilling his potentials.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but it's up to him if he wants to leave. I will sanction the move for him to go express himself in Italy if that would be his destination. You know. But on the issue that we discussed earlier on about the possible signings, um, I don't know. I think that position, in terms of that DM position, all right, because the inclusion of John Gio next season, I don't know how certain that will be. So that will be my only concern in terms of, is there a player that we can convert from the academy that can play that? That would be Billy Gilmore, the way we leave him in the team, because mind you, I understand we're going to be having 5 players, but that will not be enough for some players, to be satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
So bringing in another defensive midfield, I don't know how possible that is going to be. Judging by what we have now, unless some have to go. Okay. So if players have to go, then what's his name? Loftus-Cheek might be one of the casualty. I don't know if Boehly is going to. Well, I hope he doesn't have any say, just because what's his name? Ross Barkley scored. Shouldn't automatically make him, remain at the club. Because it was one of the reasons why these new owners even experienced a win. All it while they've been at the stadium. So I will want to see the back of him. I want Malasar gone. Yeah, free up spaces, and let's see what else we have. But in the direction that we are going, I think is the perfect opportunity, like the player was saying, to start afresh, start new system. If we can't get all the players that we have now, Roma has done it before. If Todd Boehly can just go look at history of Chelsea from 2003 and see the number of players that came in, so his duty should be to outdo what Roma has done.
Mm-hmm.
Not this option of, oh, we want to bring in this first, we have to sell first. It doesn't look like a takeover. It doesn't look like we are having any new owners. It doesn't look like our debt has been wiped up. Roma make sure he give them a clean slate. So this is not the time for them to have excuses, for not spending money. So this is the time to pump in money, not just in our first team. That includes the women's team, because they were the only source of joy that we had in these difficult moments. Can you imagine that the highest player in the women's team? I can understand the economy behind it in terms of football attendance, the fee, and all of that. I can understand that. But for a player like Sam Kerr, which is probably the best striker at Chelsea right now, all right, to be earning 600 grand a year, all right, and she's probably the highest paid player in that team. It's a disgrace. So that needs to be addressed as well, so that we can attract new players from other leagues.
Mm-hmm.
The benchmark, So a lot of issues need to be addressed with this new ownership, I swear.
Yep, I sincerely do agree with you. Again, I think you and Declan can agree on that one. He should spend the money because I think somebody mentioned there, who was it that mentioned how much exactly? You'll be able to spend about 70% or so. Again, yeah, I think 70% of the club's revenue, they'd be able to, is that the argument? Is that how much they'd be able to spend? I don't know. I'm not sure if that's the case. So I'm going to come
I thought
to
that
you.
was the salary cap they were trying to put in.
Okay, so they're talking about salary cap.
Yeah, I think because of new owner gives them leeway, they can actually spend more than what the club brings in, because the clause was with the new owners is that we're a little different. Usually, new owners come in, and the clubs has problems, and they have to put money into to invest in the team when they first come in, and that's why FFP put that rule. But we're in a unique situation where we're actually in a better state. Just like you said it, we're debt free. Do you know what I mean? So he can actually spend more. He can actually spend more than 100%. Just because of that clause. But it's only for a short time. It's with the intention that the new owner comes in and he wants to. He can invest in the club, which is what he's meant to, what most owners will do when they come in. So Newcastle will also get that rule as well when the new owners come in, and you see they can spend more than what they earn for the first couple of seasons, but it slowly has to balance out.
Okay, yeah, it makes sense. It makes perfect sense. VJ, I don't know if you're back with us. VJ, are you back? Okay, Declan, I think I should ask you this question. Okay, let me ask Rodrigo, then I'll come back to you. Rodrigo, okay. You tell me, what do you think we should do with this brother on the screen? Because to me, I think under Thomas Tuchel, you could argue the issue has been that he's being played out of position. And whenever he plays closer to the final third, you can see what he'd be able to do. So, Declan, you come in since I think we've lost Rodrigo and Fairboy. You go ahead. Let me know, what do you think we should do with him?
It's funny. You said most people wouldn't even know what is his best position. He's been playing anywhere but his best position. I mean, he's shown great versatility, and especially in a season where we got 5 subs, I think he'll be a great squad player. So, if he wants to stay, that's great too. His wages aren't that insane as well. But I did hear the rumors, and this wasn't the same. This wasn't the first time. Last season I heard it too about Sarri being really keen on him, and that could happen. I could see that happening.
But we didn't let him go, and I don't think he's going to let him go.
I think he'll push for it. I mean, if he can get first team football, I mean, at his age, he hasn't had it. I think he's 25 now, Loftus-Cheek, and he still hasn't played regular first team football. So, I think Loftus-Cheek will want it, and I think if he wants it, they might let him go. They'll probably have to let him go.
I don't think so, but we'll see what happens. Anybody on the panel has the answer to this question before I go to Fairboy? He says, isn't it 2 years that they can pump in money? Is that how long they can pump in money, for 2 years as investment?
Yeah, I think that rule was for 2 seasons. I should probably find it too, but they did the FFP did put a clause for new owners, and I think it was for 2 seasons. They can pump in money. So essentially you got 4 windows over 2 seasons, so it doesn't matter. But end of the season, when it comes to the financial reports, that's how they'll look at it.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to go to Fairboy, and then I'll go to Rodrigo. But I want to correct something here. It's not LSD. It is LSG, please.
Something else on
LSG.
the mind, huh?
Yeah, he's the only person that constantly references the women's team. Love your calm analysis on issues surrounding Chelsea. Again, thank you very much, Argo. And it's Triple says Boehly will have his own system in terms of transfers. 90% this season, 80% next season, 70%. Oh, so 10% lower each year. Okay, now I get that. Again, I says Kane is never happening. We all know that already, especially now that they've made it to the Champions League. If we could get Kane, would be amazing because he will run down every last ball on the field, but it's never going to happen. You already know that. And with that, I want to ask you, please, if you haven't, do like the video and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Again, thank you for 2,000 subscribers. We're shooting for 3K subscribers in about, let's say, 4 or 5 days. We can do that. So, Fairboy, tell me your thoughts. What do you think we should do with this brother here? For me, I'd say keep him. And I think to a certain measure, Declared agreed to that. He's a perfect number 8. Play him in the number 8 position and you can see what he can do. And he can create too. He creates fine. That is, he has good vision in him. It doesn't take him, he won't even break a sweat when he creates chances. He's one of those guys that holds on to the ball and makes sure he draws the opposition defenders to himself, then isolates the person he wants to pass the ball to and the goalkeeper, and he usually doesn't miss it. Again, let me know what you think so we can quickly talk about all the players we have to talk about.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with the attributes you just mentioned about Loftus-Cheek. And for me, the biggest concern is the fact that he's not been as explosive as we had known him for. So that is the problem with Loftus-Cheek. And I think perhaps being played in multiple positions, especially in positions where he's not comfortable in, might have been a factor. Some also argue that it's the injury. I think the injury has been the biggest reason why he's not been playing that well. So, yeah, Loftus-Cheek is a good player, but he conflicts me, right? Sometimes I feel he plays very well. Other times, I get frustrated with him. But I think
do you blame him when he's played in the centre back position and all those positions as a number 6?
I think the centre back position he played was interesting, especially playing in the middle of the back three. It was an interesting role, and I think he executed that better than playing as a number 6. If you get what I mean. I think one of the games we played, he played a very nice ball to Timo Werner, and I think with the sort of skill set he has, he can play multiple positions. I think that's why Thomas Tuchel plays him in those different roles. But as I said, the best way, as we've all agreed on, the best way to get Ruben to play better is to play as a number 8. The performances he's performed that were very good for us came as a result of him playing as a number 8/winger. So if you can at least help him replicate that, it will be good. I don't think we have to necessarily change to a back 4. And the reason why I was insistent on the back 4 was the fact that in the back 4, you have more midfielders, right, than the back 3. So it's much more superior to the back 3. But from how you can see the back 3 also, the back 3 can also have 3 midfielders. And I think that if you could get that very disciplined and very good DM, right? We can play a back 3 whereby you can release all the 8s. Okay, so something like a 3-1-4-2, okay, or a 3-2-3-2, something like that. That will help Loftus-Cheek to play very well. I think that would be good, and I think we don't need to sell him as of now. We have to wait till preseason, during the preseason, to see how well Loftus-Cheek will perform, because we don't know Thomas Tuchel's mindset. Maybe he might stick to the back 3, maybe he could change it, or maybe he could use a variation of the back 3 that would bring the best out of him. So for now, I would say we should wait for now. I know Sarri is showing interest in this boy, but I think we could wait and see what happens with him, because I feel that there's some kind of baller in him, and if we can unlock that, he'll be a very good player for us going forward.
Yeah, I think you make a good point here. I think we should keep him because Thomas Tuchel hasn't played him in his preferred position also. And there's a comment I highlighted. This comment here says RSC was a decent at the right back. Again, he wasn't really a right back. He was a hybrid of the right center, like central midfield, and then on the flanks also. And he executed it very well. I think he actually found Mount on the box, in the box with a brilliant pass that not all Chelsea players are not capable of doing that. I was expecting him to go, horizontal or so, and he went a bit diagonal though, but he found Mount who just trapped it and dropped it for Alonso. Those are the kind of things he's able to do whenever he's closer to the box. And I think he was brilliant on that game. I think I do know the game you're talking about. He was more than decent in that game. He was brilliant, and I think we should always play him there. He says, truly, yes, this is the point I'm making. What would it take in this transfer window for TT to switch a system to back four? Just get him the players he wants. And if you look at, again, I've argued before, he's known to switch up the formation based on the opposition his teams are playing. Again, I hope we see that next season because he'll get a chance to get, let's say, enough players to be able to implement his approach. You guys should remember that another Afghan will come and we will be missing keeper Mendy. We've talked about the goalkeeping position and we haven't heard the club being linked to any goalkeeper. Maybe that's me. I could be wrong, but I heard they're linked to a goalkeeper who's in the MLS now that Madrid wants him also.
I just want to add some Afghan is in the summer.
Okay, not January this time. So let me just come to you, Rodrigo. You tell me, what do you think we should do with Loftus-Cheek?
I'll be different to what you two have said. I want Loftus-Cheek to go. I think he's one of those players. Maybe he has a mental block. He hasn't been able to explode. He hasn't been able to fulfill the potential that we can see in flashes, but we've not seen enough. I've seen Loftus-Cheek taken on his man, beat his man, but the final ball is just not there. And sometimes the pass either is too soft or is too strong. I don't know how. Maybe I think it's something mentally with him. I would I'll consider if we get a good offer for him abroad, at least I'll consider selling him. Here's
the thing. Just quickly about this thing that Mikhail said RSC problem is perhaps he's neither a box-to-box player nor a sitting six. He's not both. But believe me, I don't think, again, that's me. I don't think there's any of those guys that have played in that number 8 position that can execute the number 8 position better than him. And as much as I like Mason Mount's pressing, he's good technically too, but this guy is more technically gifted and it's a better creator if you give him the chance to play in that position. But why is Mason Mount preferred? It's simple. He's industry. That's what he brings to the team. And that's why even when he's mentally tired, Thomas Tuchel still starts him. But that pressing is what you don't have in RSC. Is that something he can change this time in his career? I'm not sure. It remains to be seen. And with that, I want to ask you still, if you haven't, do like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thank you for 107 likes, but I know we can do better than that. And thank you for almost 40 subscribers today. But I know lots of people that are watching now haven't subscribed to the channel. And I was looking for us to get to up to 150, at least 150 viewers, and would have done another giveaway today. But again, I still think we may be able to do a giveaway tomorrow. And the draw for the Roman Abramovich tribute contest, where you get a chance to win $150. I think we'll have complete 8 participants right now. I'll talk to Just Viola later to see if the number is complete, and we can start the competition as soon as possible. Now, you go ahead. You were saying something, Rodrigo, so I can bring in LSD and get hit stars. We have 2 other players to talk about. Yeah, go ahead.
But my final point on Ruben. I think him playing in a double six, the way we play in the double six position is I think is the most crucial area of the pitch for Chelsea. I don't think the tactical ability to sort of to anticipate where he needs to be. I've seen him sometimes he is either way too forward and he leaves his partner exposed, And especially when he plays with Kunde. Kunde, he doesn't like shouting or give people instructions. So if he plays with him, he doesn't know. He needs someone to always tell him, you need to be here. You need to like sort of like hold his hand and make sure he's not too far off. And sometimes him in midfield as well, he tried to do this thing where he tried to use his body to protect the ball. And few times I've seen the ball getting pinched off him, and he leaves our defense really exposed. So his tactical knowledge, his discipline in midfield, I'm not sure is good enough. So he's one of those players that we don't really know where you take the best out of him. The best game he played was against Madrid in Spain, where he was a hybrid wing back and a right center, right midfielder. Maybe that's where he could stay, but for just reach one position, is it really worth the risk of us keeping him, hindering his career? I think he needs to go. If he get that call from Mauricio Sarri, he needs to pick it up and have a talk with him. Yeah.
Yeah, I do agree with you. Again, we shouldn't keep him for selfish reasons. If it's going to be better off elsewhere, I think we should just let him go. But Declan did argue something. We have 5 subs this coming season. Again, he won't be bad to have on the bench.
Forgot about that. That could actually change a lot of things. Yeah, that could actually.
Yeah, but then again, I agreed with you more importantly on the aspect of I think we shouldn't be selfish about it. If him going to Sarri will better, help progress his career, I think he should do that. And let's see, have I asked you about him or I don't know if I've asked you, what do you think we should do with him?
Yeah, I'll just say I'll add the fact that he's played as a right wing back under Tuchel. And it was very, very promising and looks good in that position. His normal style of play is, he likes to have these quick combinations with his teammates and all of that. But even though he likes to dribble, but he has problem with holding on to the ball. That's always been an issue with him. And I think because of his injury, he lacked that explosiveness he had when he was at Crystal Palace. He was very explosive and liked to bump forward, So if I remember that game against Southampton, we scored 6 goals, right? So, and he was
brilliant.
Yeah, he was brilliant in that game, So, but it has, when it comes to that defensive contribution, I think there's areas he has to work on, If for the interest of if we really want to be sentimental and want to keep him for that, I think he's better than that. He's not a player that you just want to keep for sentimental reasons. But he will be good as a squad player, because if anything, we should look back at this past season. We saw the plague. We saw what happened, in our club. So that was when I called Tuchel a miracle worker. When you have injuries, suspensions, COVID, none of our matches were postponed. Others were. Even other clubs that didn't even have, an ounce of the kind of situations we were dealing with. They were giving permission for their games to be postponed. But we were not. So we need a big squad. We need a big squad. So it's a perfect opportunity to get the kind of players you want. We don't want excuse. All the people coming up here now saying, oh, let's have a rebuild and all of that. It's going to take a long time, 2 seasons, 3 seasons. We'll be the first one to start complaining once we start seeing how our game go. Because I don't want to see the struggling matches that we have this season. The smaller things, we need to be destroying them. And we need to be worried. If we want to win the league, we should be worried not just about winning, we should be worried about scoring more goals. Not just winning, we should be worried about scoring more goals and not conceding. Because the battle is just going to be too much, especially with Tottenham, and what they are doing over there. Newcastle have the blank check to spend as well. Talking about spending, what gives Newcastle the right to be looking for a player that they can pay for 90 million, 100 million. What gives them the right to do so? They are not even a top 4 team at the moment. They look at the figure they already are throwing around. You know, if PSG can give that kind of contract to Mbappe, what has happened to the so-called FFP? You know, so the new owners need to wake up and do something. You know, and let better decisions be made right now, moving forward.
Yeah, I think a great response right there. Fairboy, have I asked you what you think we should do with Ruben Loftus-Cheek?
Yeah, you've already asked me.
Okay. So I've asked Rodrigo. I've asked also Declan. So Declan, this guy right here leaves Manchester United on a free. We know what a player he can be. Shouldn't we be looking at him? I would at the time he was everywhere that he was going to come to us. How we were going to pair him with Kante, and our midfield will be fire. What do you think? Because he's a fine number 8. Whether anybody agrees or not, I know the argument about his behavior or attitude issue. Maybe he wanted to leave Manchester United because they're really not, achieving things he thought he'd achieve there.
It's you're right. I would want it if he's on his game. He's great. He could be one of the best, and on a free he'd be a great deal. But I mean, maybe it's a good risk because he will come with baggage. He might come with baggage, or he might leave that all at Man United.
Because let's be honest. What's the baggage in question? What's the baggage in question?
Like it could be just Man United. There was a lot of issues at Man United.
He never had issues at Juventus, did he? No, he did not.
But he was very young at Juventus as well. So he's been at Man United for a long time.
Yeah,
but what I was getting at.
Can I clear this quickly, Declan?
Yeah.
He said he was very young then. He was a fine player. He never had an attitude issue there. He comes to Manchester United. I think the issue started, was it under Mourinho? What Mourinho demands of players in terms of you must be, I think, contribute defensively. And when you're not doing that, he has an issue. And there's a way you carry yourself. Mourinho wants to be the center of attraction all the time. And if he feels like you want it more than him, I think that's how I see it. That's my opinion. You have issues with him. I think probably his biggest issue at United is because I think he played under Mourinho, right? Is these
not just Mourinho?
Exactly. Van Gaal, did he play under Van Gaal too?
Yeah,
I don't think under Van Gaal. But
so,
my case is this: I don't think when they say he has attitude issue, he just wanted to leave the club because they're not doing well. I think that's the case. He's very ambitious, but go ahead.
Well, there's a problem with player power at Man United, and I believe he was part of it. And also, when he played for France, it was night and day the performance he put in for France, and then he did for Man United. There's clearly he was unhappy. He didn't play well, but that wasn't just down to him. He always got picked on when something happened, right? For the longest time. But you can see over time that it wasn't just Pogba. There was a lot of players. There's a lot of problems at Man United. That's why I believe that there's a chance that he could leave that all behind, and then he just wants to play, and he flourishes like the Pogba you never seen. Or he could take some of those. He could have been a bigger part of that problem over there, and he comes and brings it to Chelsea. So there is a bit of a risk, but you're getting him on a free transfer. I think Pogba. I believe it's a good risk because not only you get him on a free, but surely he wants to play. Surely there was probably a massive back and forth, and if he can have a clean slate, he just wants one, and then we can probably see the Pogba that plays for France, and we get the best out of him, and maybe Tuchel can get the best out of him because he can play that 6th role. Great, he has all the tools to play that role very well, and I think it would be a great signing if we did pick him up, and especially when we're going to spend so much money. Getting him on a free would help us pick up every other signing that we need.
Yes, again, Mikael is arguing. I think he's talking about Pogba's performance in Serie A against United. When used properly, I think we've all seen flashes of what he's capable of doing. And again, you'd argue pairing him with N'Golo Kante, he'd be on fire for us. Again, that's my own opinion, but I understand your argument too. Some people will look at that and say, I don't think he would work in the Premier League. The other person that has said in the comments, he doesn't like the pace of the Premier League. But we'll see what happens. I think he would shine at Chelsea. I think so too. He's a good player, but can we pay the high wages? Again, not paying a sign-on fee, it's a risk worth taking. That's not paying the club Manchester United any money because it's coming on the free. That makes up for that. Again, thrown out by Ferguson for a reason. Again, that's another argument. But Ferguson also you must argue, okay, that him coming back and tell us what reason. No, I think he wanted to be starting games. He was impatient because he recognized how good he is. And Ferguson didn't want to give him a chance in the first team. Wasn't that the argument? Correct me if I'm wrong. United should have backed Jose, not Pogba. Was that the case? I'm not sure. Don't blame Mourinho if they're not winning. He was part of it. I wouldn't touch Pogba with the class poll. Again, that's another argument. LSG, let us know what you think. Do we still have LSC there, or should I go?
Yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm here now. Okay. Yeah, people talking about his attitude and all of that. I don't doubt that in one bit, especially if we have Lukaku remain at this club. Lukaku remain at this club, or forget about it. We are going to become the new soap opera, on TV. Man say just bring Amazon Prime to come start recording. So as a player himself, he's a player that I never know the hype, about him. I know he's a good player, but it's not. It's never been a player for me that I like because when it comes, apart from making some kind of diagonal crosses, he likes to make some stupid dribbles that doesn't lead to nothing. His crossing is weak. When he doesn't have good concentration, he makes a lot of fouls. And when it comes to tackling, right? Because he doesn't know how to tackle, he just dive into tackles and creating problems, left, right, and center. So, the only thing he's good at, like we saw in one of the World Cups that he played against, was in Nigeria or some country like that. I know he's good in the hair. Yeah, I thought we were looking for a goal scoring midfielder, So he hasn't done it this season, as far as I'm concerned, at Man United.
And his goals is clutch for United.
Sorry?
It comes clutch for United. If you look at the back end of Ole's, even last year when United had the least of title charge, I think he came up with really, really important goals for them.
Yeah, but I'm talking about this season.
I think where United are playing Pogba, or how they've been utilizing him, was the wrong way.
It's not what we want, It's not what we want. So we have to look for, like I keep saying, if we're bringing in any person, we need a competition for Jorginho. We need a competition for Jorginho, right?
Yeah.
And that perfect competition will be a player like Paredes.
Yes.
I've always been an advocate for that player. He's not getting the service, the kind of play, game time he needs at PSG. He's unhappy and he doesn't have much left on his contract. Let's just go get him.
Yeah, I know you've heard my argument about Paredes. I think, you could argue again. That's how I see it. He's the worst version of Jorginho. Actually, one thing I agree with you. He's good with long passes and all that. He's got some great vision in terms of long passes. But I think Jorginho would do better in the Premier League than he would.
So we have to trust. If we are not bringing him in, we don't trust anyone. let's allow Billy Gilmore to be in the team.
I think we should actually do that in the first place. But again,
allow him to be in the team. But
mm-hmm.
this is a big but, because I'm hearing some noises from Glasgow, and stuff like that. Just let him be, bro. You were the ones that were happy for him to go to Norwich. You were happy. You were celebrating it. You thought it was the best thing that ever happened to him. All right. So why are you now mourning? Okay, he had a chance to help them. I understand there are other factors that contributed them being relegated, but come on, don't hang our club for that. And sending him there was also because there was a German manager there that was, Tuchel believe will be a good shepherd for Billy Gilmore. So what's the problem? Okay, so if he's coming back, he should come back. You should just pray that he's fit and ready to play. We have cup games. We have a lot of competition. So guys, just relax and let's do
And again, just quickly, I want to announce something. We will try and do the draw for the Roman Abramovich tribute contest tomorrow. And if you're one of the contestants, reach out to me via Twitter. I'll send you the rules. And after the competition, the Blue Morning Show will become a closed panel. It will be one panelist per time, or at most four at a time, so that we can always round up quickly. It says, okay, it's every manager's fault. Again, that's another strong argument. Why hasn't he done well under all those managers? And like I argued, you'd argue that, and I'd argue maybe because he doesn't, they don't play him to. That's a chance, whether you like it or not. They haven't played him in a position where they get the best out of him. Or there's a chance also he hasn't been himself because he's always felt like leaving the club. Man United would have finished bottom if it wasn't for Ronaldo. I think I read that. They say that I'm a sweet change of the three at the back. Again, have the argument with Tribble in the chat. I think that's a fight you will never win. Again, Tonga, we want a change from I already knew you were going to get a response from him. The three at the back, again, I don't want to go into that. We need to keep Kante, that's for sure. But again, most people want him to go. Declared here wants him to go. All ALS just says, White Pogba was playing for United, for France and Juve. He has been a class. Again, you can agree, which means, again, if we get him, Kante is there to help bring the best out of him. If you ask me, that's what I'd argue. Again, anything there, we've seen the best of Pogba in the national team and Juventus. He was a different beast. Gitanga, then be happy we ain't changing. Pogba had lost more time and space in Italy. He says, True Blue, I hope we stick with it as good. Okay. Would you sell Kante and buy new CDM or give Billy Gilmore a chance? I wouldn't sell Kante. I'd rather play him alongside Billy Gilmore. Again, that's a lot Kante can still offer us, although people see it from a different perspective. Some from a business perspective, arguing would save a lot of money from his salary and buy someone else. But these days, there's hardly a good DM that you'd buy that wouldn't be asking more than Kante is earning at Chelsea Football Club. Pogba to United has to be one of the worst transfers, possibly because it hasn't worked out. Now, coming to you, Fairboy, let us know what you think.
For me, when it comes to people saying Paul Pogba's attitude at United is bad, I think United itself is a toxic club. So that argument about the fact that the reason why I cannot have Pogba in my club is because of his behavior he's been displaying in United.
Mm-hmm.
But he'll be the last person I would want to buy. Pogba is a luxury player. It's like he needs a sort of platform or foundation to be able to play well. And if he doesn't have it, he's going to go non-existent. That's the problem he's had at United. A lot of the players that United have, the midfield combinations Paul Pogba has played with, are not the midfield combinations that will help him. Why am I saying so? United have this sort of midfielders that struggle to win the ball. They don't know how to control the midfield, right? That's why he's struggling there. And at Chelsea, we don't have that kind of course, we have Kante there, but Kante is not enough. He needs another midfielder who is a rough tackler. And I can take you back to the Juventus days. When Pogba was doing very well at Juventus, he had the likes of Matuidi and I think Arturo Vidal beside him. For that reason, he was able to excel. He knows that when it comes to the dirty work, he has two strong men to be able to do that for him. Then he dishes out the passes, right? It's similar at national team, right? Kante and I think who else? Is it Matuidi? Matuidi or Matuidi. Similar. Yeah. Kante and Matuidi. Who was the reason why he was a success at France national team. So for me, I think that Paul Pogba is a luxury signing, and if we don't have a competent DM or a DM and a competent like a CM who is also good at tackling, then there's no way we can sign Paul Pogba. He'll be a burden for us. That's what I would say. So for the Pogba signing to work, in case we're able to keep someone like Kante, then we will need someone who is a rough tackler, someone who is a hard tackler alongside Kante, so that Pogba will be able to play his football. But as it stands now, we don't have the midfield combination that will be able to make Pogba succeed. So I think that for Pogba, he's not a necessity. If we want to buy, it should be the last thing we should buy. What we need to prioritize on is our defensive midfield, right? The caliber of Pogba, we have a lot of them in our squad. So I think we can, for Pogba, he will not be a signing we will necessarily need. So for me, I won't take him for now.
Okay, again, it's nothing that for you. It's nothing that has to do with abilities, but it's not you arguing that we don't have the sort of players that will help bring out the best in him. Here at Trivia, thank you very much again. Like I've told you before, I appreciate you being one of the mods here and the queen of all streams. That's enough for me helping moderate the chat. You don't have to do this, but thank you for all the love, and you know how much I respect and love you. I appreciate that. Thank you again for the super chat. And here says, True Blue says, 18, 19-year-old was never going to carry Norwich. It's as simple as that. Plus, again, a tree don't make a forest. They have an awful team. Again, how the rest do I, talk about them? But I get your point, and it makes perfect sense. And here we have, said 113 chat, just amazing. Yep, thank you. It's been a great chat overall, and thank you for thanking them, Queen. Even though the argument between True Blue and was it Leo Matthew Benjamin or who, it was civil. Nobody insulted each other. Everybody just expressed their opinions. True Blue, it never worked. I expected more from him. So did United fans. Again, that's the truth. My expectations always get smacked by you lot. Yeah, thank you. They've been brilliant. What do you think about Ian Matson? BVB wants to buy him. Would you count on him? I don't know how I can say. I don't know how good he is, but I would say we don't have to be selfish these days. If they want him and there's no place for him in the squad, we should let him go. Anybody on the panel want to come in for that question on the screen?
I think we need to let him go.
Kuchila,
Go ahead, let Rodrigo finish. Go ahead, Rodrigo.
Yeah, I mean, if he's a long deal, I think you can. Yeah, he's a club like Borussia is very good. They're very good at developing young players and giving them opportunities. Chelsea, Ian Matson, I don't know. I think I would keep him if we're selling Emerson. Obviously, Alonso is going, so if we're selling Emerson, yeah, then we can keep him. Ideally, for me personally, if it's my decision, I'll keep Ian Matson, sell Emerson and Alonso.
Did we say Dortmund?
Yeah, Dortmund, yeah.
Do you think that they agreed to take him with buyback clause? Because I know we know Chelsea. If they want to sell him, they have to add a buyback clause, and I don't think Dortmund do business like that.
No. A loan would be ideal, but yeah, a sell straight up is a bit too premature for a player that we haven't seen enough of. Like we could be selling a complete gem, and then in a few years we'll be regretting. So I'd rather do another long deal for him.
Yeah. Yeah, you wanted to say something, Fairboy?
I agree with the fact that with what you were saying, that we don't need to be selfish. If the player wants first team football and he goes somewhere to get first team football, I think that would be great for him. But look, you see, with the issue with our young players, look, let's relax for them. You understand? Then they have a lot of years ahead of them, so they can relax. If Ian Matson would be able to, because to be honest, they are not the finished article. Okay, so we cannot put a lot of the burden of making the team successful upon their shoulders. It would be too much for them. Yeah. So if he would go to Borussia Dortmund and to complete his developments there, fine, let's take him there. If we actually need him, we will bring him back to Stamford.
One more thing.
It's as simple as that.
One thing I'll add sorry to cut. Thing I'll add before this is my deal. I think when you look at young players, the biggest issue we tend to forget is the entourage, is the people that surround them. If you're a young player like Billy Gilmore, if his family or his agent, they're all telling him, no, you need to leave this club, you need to play more.
God bless you.
That actually affects. They're not patient. Because if I'm Billy Gilmore, I'm thinking Jorginho is in his 30s, Kante in his 30s. So if I'm patient, I'll go on another loan. I learn my graft that I can make into this team. But if you have people like your dad is telling you, nah, you need first team football now.
It leads to poor decisions.
Yes,
because again, why he left on loan, I just cannot fathom why. Because he's played, I think he had 3 brilliant games, high-profile games, one of which was against Manchester City, or twice against Manchester City.
No way.
Yeah, and he did quite well. I don't know. I don't think it was. I don't. If had he stayed, I think it'd be better. I know some people would argue Tuchel wanted him to leave. No, I don't. Again, I don't want to talk about it because I really got a piece, and I did a video regarding it with Lamb Talks Football. Lambs Talk Football. Again, he shouldn't have gone out alone, but I get your point. And we have just a few minutes to round off, so I'm going to try and catch up with the chat and come back to the panel and ask the last question so that we can call it a day. It would have been a better loan for him. Leeds United under BS. I think he's quick also in terms of decision making. I think he would have done well under BS at Leeds United. So you guys are good. Loan here again. Pogba at luxury. It would be like bringing a viper into a basket. I think that's a very funny way to put it. I think we just have to talk about it and get it over with because we have it here. Pogba would be a luxury indeed. So correct. Pogba at Chelsea just to score against United. Again, that's a wish, but then again, we have to consider other factors. Want to hear the pain. Even if no buyback, I don't trust German clubs. They will try to poach him. Yep, that's for sure. Even if on loan, they can convince him to stay there because they have the reputation, if you really want to talk about it. They're very good at nurturing young players, so it would be a risk. I'd rather keep him. And have I heard, I think it was Nini that talks about how Thomas Tuchel rates him. We never know. Let's see what happens. Or, all deal again. Send Bill Gilmore to Germany like Mount to Netherlands, you mean? I think he'd do well there to Vietnam. I think they will respect him. They'll give him the opportunity he needs. Alone says, Abere, Ebenezer, nice to see you, Abere. And again, yes, a mental loan, I understand. To Holland, yeah, exactly. They respect every player we sent there, and they come back better. Broya, an example. Mount, an example. I think there are others too. Again, I have not heard Gilmer to say he wants out. TT didn't say enough, obviously. There's not, we didn't hear enough to be able to tell what happened. But again, I think if he wanted to stay, I think he'd have stayed because there was a time actually we lacked players in that area. Now keep Billy here. But then again, it's all about whether you want him to stay or not. He plays for his national team and would want to be ready for the World Cup. And mind you, it's a World Cup year. If you still have time, I'll come to you in a bit. Again, I adore Gilmore. We all do. I have no wish to discuss Pogba next week. No, we're not going to talk about him. The Vietnamese deal is dead, so we're not going to be sending players there. So, Declan, since you're leaving, your final thoughts on everything we've talked about today. You can bring Callum Hudson-Odoi into it if you have time.
Well, yeah, my view on young players, give them more of a chance and they will become better, but it's the type of characteristics that Hudson-Odoi has that I don't think, even if he gets better, will suit the style in the system we play. So I think it's fair to let him go, and hopefully maybe there's still some interest there. Probably should have took that Bayern money that was up back in the day, but yeah, I was always Hudson-Odoi staying, but the more you see, the more he needs to be wide, taking on, and he hasn't even taken on the. He's not. I mean, he's not doing the one-on-ones that he used to do. So he'll dribble and quickly pass. So I think he still has to get over that injury as well, the big injury that he had. And but even when he comes good, I don't think his best attributes will suit the system. So I think we're best cashing in on him and let him go. But overall as well, yeah, I think we got a lot of stereotypes out where a lot of people are having anxiety about big changes. But I think they should get used to it. We got a new owner in, and we were losing a lot of players. So there is going to be a lot of changes, not just on and off the pitch, new sponsors, new market. I think that a lot's coming to Chelsea, and I think people should get more excited rather than getting anxiety about it, and probably look forward to Tuchel getting some of his players.
Yeah, Declan, I gotta say it's always nice to have you on. I appreciate you finding time to join today. I know you haven't joined for a few days now, but because you're busy, I totally understand. Thank you very much, brother. And let's see your thoughts, final thoughts on everything we've talked about.
Big up panel, big up chat. See you, everyone.
All right, bye.
And let's see you there.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Your final thoughts on everything we talked about and what you have to say about Callum Hudson-Odoi.
Okay, I didn't know what was said about Callum. I wasn't on them.
Oh, nothing. We're just saying, what do we do with him?
Okay. Yeah,
because we're supposed to talk about him, but we don't have too much time. Yeah.
Yeah, I will. The injuries and all of that. Yeah, if his agents and his family members want him, if they are going to be applying pressure on us, then he can go. For player, if we are going to sell him though, I don't know what is. We can still get some money for him. But for Billy Gibbon, if there is any attempt to sell him or even a discussion, regarding that, then he should play up to. We should let him go in January because he needs to increase his stock. We need to use him in some of those our subs, so his value can come up. All right. Because a player like that should be going, for 30, a minimum 30 million, So we shouldn't, be selling our players for cheap. Because look at the figure they have been thrown around for Liverpool. We'd rather keep him than sell him for that change, because if he was coming from a different league, people will be rating him for a minimum for like 40 million, 30 to 40 million. And now they're talking about 4 million or something stupid as that. So we should not let these guys go for cheap, play them, tell their entourage to shut up, put a deal in there to make them shut up. And then, let's continue. Let's have a season where social media doesn't have any influence on how the club is run. That's what I'm coming for. So in terms of the other issues that we discussed, when it comes to whether we need Pogba or not, my opinion is clear on that. Loftus-Cheek, if Sarri is so keen on him, then he should make another move for him. Then we can let him go because it's been a long time now. He's been with us as a prospect, so it's a never-ending episode. So if Sarri is keen on him, that means he has a full belief in him, and he believes that he can fulfill his potential over there. then I would say let's allow him to go. Barkley and Co, they should leave. Conor Gallagher, I want to see his integration in a team. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate you finding time to join today. How about you, our fair boy? Your final thoughts?
Look, a lot of things have been said, especially when it comes to player purchases, and I think, look, we can talk about the matter all day long. Definitely, we will still disagree on things. So for that one, I will leave it there. Talking about Callum Hudson-Odoi, I think for him, he should go. He's disappointed me. Yeah, he's disappointed me a lot, especially with the sort of expectations we had, coming off from the fact that we know he was that good enough under Sarri. And of course, I understand he had injuries, right? Okay, but at certain points, you should be able to get over that, right? Because if you're not performing well, there's no way the coach will always like you to be in his plans. You understand? So for Callum, if he does not impress, especially in preseason, he would have to go. We would need to cash in on him. So that's my thoughts and opinions on Callum. I also want to talk to these young kids, especially the Cuban boys who are coming. Look, they just need to be patient. They just need to be patient. Of course, we know they are talented, right? But they are not the finished article. And secondly, they have a lot of years ahead of them. They have a lot of learning to do. The talk of, if I don't get first team football, I'll be leaving. Then you can leave if you want to go, right? Someone like Billy Gilmore, if what the reports are suggesting is true, that Billy Gilmore wants to go because he wants first team experience, then that's so, I'm sorry, that's so bad. Because if you look at someone like Jorginho, whom you are competing for in his position, Jorginho is soon, maybe might not extend his contract, right? So why don't you learn from him for some time, so that when he leaves, you later on take his position? It's not a big thing to understand. You understand? So they should just be patient, right? If Gallagher comes and he's not starting immediately, he shouldn't complain. Relax, you'll get your time to shine. Or maybe Armando Broja comes, he's not getting his opportunities immediately. He should relax. He'll get his time. They have a lot of years ahead of them. They have a lot of years to grow, a lot of things to learn. If you feel you cannot learn by watching the experience in your team, then you can move so that you can develop by playing more, right? Because at Chelsea, even though we are saying that fans should take their time and other things, fans would not be patient when we are not playing that well, because young players are prone to mistakes. Fans will not tolerate that. So if that is what you want, more game time to just make mistakes and learn from it, then you can leave Chelsea Football Club and go to another place where they'll give you that opportunity. So that's my message for the young guys. If they want to stay at Chelsea Football Club, they just need to be patient. Their time will come. That's what I would say. And finally, I want to make this announcement that I'll be hosting a stream, a live stream at 7 p.m. We are going to talk about the DM.
Has it been scheduled? If anybody interested, give me the link so I can share it.
Yeah.
Has it been scheduled?
Yeah, it's scheduled.
If it's scheduled, send the link via the private chat so I can share it so that people will go like it at least while they wait for you. And also, again, we're about to round off quickly. Rodrigo, your final thoughts on everything we've talked about, and I'll keep sending you the links every time. Remember, we have another show at I think 10 p.m. UK today. Again, we're doing that every year, but that one is going to be only 1 hour, just a transfer watch. Yeah, that's what we call it. But go ahead.
So just a summary on, obviously we touch on from the current squad, from transfers and ending with the young players. So in summary, I would say obviously that we need the reinforcement. It's plain and obvious that we're losing a lot of defenders, and hopefully Todd Boehly and his and his team will, they know like the urgency of getting players in before preseason starts, and how that's very important for the manager to have a clear picture of what he needs to keep, and to plan for the season. The fixture lists are coming up in about 2 weeks time, so it'll be good for the manager to plan week in and week out what team he has in mind, obviously bearing injuries and all that. So that's that. And then we also obviously we touched on players that we're linked to, and players such as obviously that was from me. I said Dembele, players like that, Kunde, players that we hopefully will see coming through the door. And then the last thing we talked about Paul Pogba and how suitable he could be to our system, or is he actually a player that we should be probably looking at? Humble opinion, I think Pogba, my friend, you just should stay away from England. The media, the way the media run him out, we have a lot of misconception about Pogba, about his attitude. We don't know. A lot of the thing that we hear is from the media. Pogba will do his hairstyle. People will put in the media. Pogba had a dance in a training. You know, when he was training they're just trying to compare that with, say, oh, look at Roy Keane, look how hard work he was, look at Pogba. Maybe the guy's just having fun. I digress. So Pogba, for his own sake, go abroad, go play, go back to Juve. At Chelsea, someone to play with Kante. We need someone, because Kante's done a lot of work. That's why he keep getting injured. You pair him with Pogba would expect Kante to keep doing a lot of the dirty work. We want Kante to be used sparingly, to be used in those big games, and not expect Kante to play in 38 games, 40 games a season. So that's my opinion on that. In regard to obviously we've ended with our youth players, including Loftus-Cheek. Hopefully, again, with him, could be a squad player or he could go. I'm not really fussed about that. Callum and finally Billy Gilmore. Billy Gilmore need patience. I think I'm of the opinion that his parents or the people advising him are not doing him a good service. Because they've seen him play for Scotland, they think he's there, but he's not there. There's a lot of learning, especially in central midfielder. He needs to be patient. His time will come at Chelsea if he's willing to wait, but that's obviously down to him. With Callum is a frustrating case. Again, with Callum need a loan for his own sake. I wouldn't sell Callum yet. I want to see Callum playing for a team where he has more of a major role. So maybe a team that's fighting for something. Maybe sending him to he wanted to. There was linked to Germany, Dortmund, a team like that. Maybe he needs a new environment to recharge his battery. Maybe then we can talk about Callum again next summer once he's done the loan deal. I think staying at Chelsea for another season, that's it'll be for selfish reason, really. It won't be for his own development. So again, thank you for having me. It's a very good stream. I like the format you have here. It's very calm, people, no insults, no one shouting at each other. So keep up, and I encourage you to keep up on this good trajectory you're on. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much, brother. And again, like I said, I will keep sending you the link because you seem to know the club. You know the club very well. And I want to say thank you to everybody in the chat. And I want to recognize this hilarious comment by Stribia, which is, as Mommy said, if you cannot kill it, don't eat it. Yeah, it doesn't make sense if you can't kill it. You don't have to eat it. So I want to say thank you to the Queen herself, Queen of all streams, how great you've been. And how you've been helpful, monitoring the chat, making sure there's no spam. After this season, again, Kayode, nice to see you here. You're late. And if you haven't, please be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel as we come to the end of the show. Them say that I think Tuchel will give a Cho more of a leading role. We'll see if it does. I take it if it does well. I agree with you about Callum, but let's see what happens. I want to say thank you to everybody in the chat. The Queen of all streams herself, Jubel, who just joined, Kayode, who just joined, and again, everybody else, Liam, True Blue, who was here before, every other person, and if I missed your name, and then the Queen of Chelsea perspective, Just Viola, If I missed your name, my apologies. I'm only human. And with that, I say thank you very much. See you guys tomorrow for another Blue Morning show. And cheers.